I've been talking to myself again. But it's the only...
Good evening and welcome to NUFC Matters. It is Match Day Live and I'm actually in London. I'm actually working in London tonight. Unfortunately, I'm not working at Craven Cottage, so I'm going to have to rely on a stream of info from the NUFC Matters panel who are before you tonight. Daz and Martin will be in charge tonight. I'll just quickly go through the team before I disappear because as I say, I am at work, so the lads are running the show tonight without me. But we have Carl Darlow in goal, DeAndre Yedlin, Federico Fernandez, Kieran Clark, Paul Dummett, Sean Longstaff, John Joe Shelby, Matt Ritchie, Miguel Almiron, Joe Linton and Callum Wilson. On the bench we've got Gillespie, Gale, Lewis, Kraft, Murphy, Carroll, Hayden, Hendrick and Fraser. So that's our team. That's our lineup against a Fulham team who've gone for this lineup. And what a surprise. There's Alexander Mitrovic in there. But yeah, their team, Areola, Anderson, Mitrovic, Kearney, Adarabioyo, Calvalero, Lamina, Lookman, Anguiesa, Robinson and Aina. On the bench for them, Rodak, Hector, Adoy, Ream, Brian, Cordova, Reed, Loftus-Cheek, Reed and Kamara. So from a Newcastle perspective, changes again. I'm sure the lads will be happy to discuss that. Downside about tonight is we can't do this. We can't put the show comments on the screen because obviously I'm the one in control and I'll not be here tonight. So the lads will be checking YouTube, so please feel free to keep putting your comments on the chat tonight. And whilst I'm here, I will give a big shout out to the sponsors, newworkwear.com, specialists in the supply and branding of clothing for the workplace, which Martin has kindly put onto his shirt tonight with me not being available. And qtechshop.co.uk, the makers of pool tables and snooker tables in Wallsend in Newcastle. And of course, they also make the t-shirts, which you can buy at newcastlelegends.com. So, without further ado, I've got to go off and do some work, guys. I'm going to hand you over to the capable hands of Daz and Martin. Have a good night, lads. Only the football can spoil it.
Cheers. Very true. All right, guys, let's start. Now, Steve left me some instructions here before we start. Let me see. Yeah. Hello and welcome to NUFC Matters.
Been that.
Now he's gone. Let's get the party started. Tonight, for one night only, NUFC Matters with the Irish lads and the rest of the crew.
Oh, hanging his coming back.
What on earth are you doing? I'm joking. I'm away. See you, lads.
We're not just here to take part tonight, lads. We're here to take over. Okay, so tonight we've got Martin and myself are hosting. We've got the other lads, the people dropping in and out as we go along. Hopefully we get everything working for us. So I'm going to hand you over to Martin now to kick us off.
Yeah, obviously, welcome. God knows why we've been left in charge, but we have. It's probably the worst Irish version of Ant and Dec you've ever seen in your life. Obviously, I've done the sponsorship bit, so a big shout out to Jab Workwear and the nice hoodies that Steve often wears. We've got Q-Tech, so I would like to just give a massive shout out to Q-Tech. I know the sponsorship looks really shit, but I had to do it on Post-it notes on my T-shirt. But if you would love to do a one-off T-shirt with the Irish Ant and Dec, we're not here to take part. We're here to take over. Then Q-Tech, feel free. We'll put it up. We'll throw it on for the food bank, and we'll raise a few quid. So I'm going to keep saying Q-Tech as many times as I can until I get a T-shirt. And if you wanted to send a bit of gear to me and Daz, listen, we wouldn't say no. I know Steve's not into that, but we'll take whatever we can get. It's Christmas. I've got 3 kids. So, we'll take whatever. And then obviously down there, I'd also like to give a little shout out to Eason's Books. Steve's got, I think, the top 20 in the top 25 for Christmas. So fair play to Eason's for putting all his books on a shelf. He needs a few bob. He's also got a big family. So fair play to Eason's. You can order online. Don't mind Tier 4 and Boris. They're still delivering. We're all good. Anyway, on to the positives. So tonight we've obviously got myself and the beautiful looking Daz Shocks, who's carefully modelling the cup there that doesn't say Kickoff Neddy on the back of it. We've obviously got Brit. Oh, hang on, he's come up. No, back. He's not back. I can see it. No, we can hear sound, but we can't see a picture. We've obviously got Rich. We've got Adam joining us all the way from Minnesota. Hopefully not got as much snow as the eastern side of the US have. We've got Pete, and we've got the glorious Al Walid from LW Newcastle. So welcome, lads. Fair play to you for coming on to this car crash. So back over to Daz, and let's kick her off and let's get ready for the game.
Okay, lads. Let's go around the house. I'll start with Adam and go that way. What do you make of the team, Adam?
Well, it's a Newcastle team, isn't it? No one can get too excited about team lineups these days, particularly when we knew that St. Maximin wasn't going to be playing. He's really the only player that we all look out for on the team sheet, other than Callum Wilson, probably. I think it's about time that he's dropped Jamal Lewis. I know it's been a little while since I've been on with you lads, but if you follow me on Twitter, you'll know that I'm not a big fan of Jamal Lewis at the minute. I think he's been terrible for the last handful of games. Even in the games that we've won, he's not looked particularly comfortable, both defensively, not been able to keep pace really. And going forward, he's too rash with his touch. He does things too quickly. I think his head is moving quicker than his feet right now. So problems there. I'm surprised it's Paul Dummett though, because I thought he'd retired. I don't think any of us have seen him all season, have we? So I suppose happy that he's back. He's a trier, if nothing else. So that's good. And it looks like 4-4-2 again, or some variation of two strikers. So I'm good with that. I'm a little bit surprised that Dwight Gale didn't get a start over Joel Linton. Maybe it's just a matter of match fitness and getting ready for the game in the middle of the week as well. Of course, cup quarterfinal in just 4 or 5 days. So yeah, I mean the team didn't surprise me other than Paul Dummett being on there. I don't know what Matt Longstaff's done. I can't figure out why he's not been given more of a shout. It's not like Bruce can be seeing these performances, particularly from Sean Longstaff, and not noticing how bad they've been. So Jeff Hendrick's been terrible. Sean Longstaff's been terrible. I'm amazed that Matty's not even on the bench, unless there's an injury, of course, which we won't know about for now. And I'm gutted for Sean, because you guys know from hearing me back in the summer and earlier this season, I'm a huge Sean Longstaff fan. I really do believe that in a good team that wants possession and wants to go forward, he'd be an excellent player. But we're reaching a point now with Sean, and I'll shut up here in a second, but we've reached a point here with Sean where it's not just about getting games anymore, right? There's a period in your maturation as a player where you just need a lot of games. You need to get games, you need to get minutes under your belt, get experiences under your belt. We're long past that now with Sean. He needs proper coaching, he needs proper direction. Rafa was providing that for him. But he's obviously not getting that at the minute, or it doesn't look like he's getting that at the minute from Bruce and Agnew and Clements, which is a real shame, because he should be perfect for this team. He should be perfect for a mid-table Premier League team at 22, 23 years old, but he's just regressed so much in the first half of this season. So disappointing there, but yeah, we'll see. Hopefully he turns up better today.
Cool.
Do you think Matty's issue is, do you think it's Bruce keeping him out of the team because of the contract? Obviously, Matty took quite a long time to sign up. Do you think there's a bit of Bruce payback in that, and from the sides or something?
Yeah, I mean, maybe, right? I mean, who knows with Bruce? He floats around all sorts of different things. But, certainly after Project Restart, there's no doubt that was happening, right? There's no doubt they weren't playing him because of the contract situation. In fact, they took the piss out of him, put him on against Man City when we were like 15-0 down in the last 5 minutes, just to take the piss out of him, I thought. But I don't know why they'd still be doing that, given that he's signed on for 2 years. So I just think Bruce is mismanaging him. It might be that he's not training well. It might be that he's not fit. Again, we don't know this stuff when it comes to Newcastle. But the best case scenario for Matty, obviously, is that in January he goes out on loan, Championship, plays 15, 20 games. Unlike Sean, I think Matty is still in the position where he does just need game time. He needs experiences right now. He'll get coached when he gets older. He's only 20 years old, 21 years old. It's the opposite for Sean. We're done with just game minutes now. We need Sean to be coached, or we're going to lose him. That's just simple as that.
And of course, Sean got his loan spell out at Blackpool and a few different clubs, so yeah, he got that experience. Cheers, Adam, and it's nice to have a bit of trust royalty on board with us today.
Good to be back.
I was just going to say it's nice to have him back.
We'll go to you next, Pete. What do you make of the selection? You're not going to hold back.
Do I ever? Look, it's not what I was expecting. I've got to be honest, and I have to say I'm a little bit disappointed going into the game. It worries me slightly with the selection and the lineup that he's gone for. Look, I can see why Paul Dummett's in the team. He gives that defensive solidity at left back. Let's face it, he doesn't give you anything going forward. He's not a good crosser of the ball. He's not got the pace or the fitness to get up and down for 90 minutes. But what he does give you is that solidity, and I think that gives you the mindset. It gives you the Bruce mindset of where he's going tonight. He's looking to, he's looking to just stay solid at the back and try to not concede and hope that we get one on the break, which has been his mentality all the way through. My only problem is that the guy's not played since January, and you can throw him in under 23s all you want, but it's not the same as playing Premier League football. So for me, what that does, it takes out a sub already, because for me, I don't see him playing 90 minutes. So Lewis or someone's going to come on at some point, which means all the selection and the array of players that you've got on the bench, you've only got 2 to select from. So that then brings its additional concern. So yeah, I can see it, but it's still disappointing to see. Look, Ryan Fraser, in my opinion, should be starting. He was probably our best player all the way through against Leeds up until he went off. For me, he should be playing. He gives us something extra going forward, and that little bit of quality that Wilson really needs at the moment. So I'm disappointed at that. I'm also disappointed that Joe Linton's playing and Gale's not. Look, this isn't, for me, it's not a Joe Linton I'm not here to have a go at him. He's not being singled out right now. He just hasn't played well, and Gale scored, and Gale's looked better in the small minutes that he's played compared to Joe Linton. I mean, we all were kind of jumping on the Joe Linton bandwagon when he had a decent game, and it was no more than a decent game at Crystal Palace. I didn't personally think he played well against West Brom, and he certainly didn't play well against Leeds. Neither did anyone else, but still. So for people saying that he's turned a corner and that he's been playing well, I disagree with that. And for me, if Gale's fit, Gale should be playing, because he's a guy that's going to get you a goal. And tonight, more than ever, we need goals. Okay, this is a must-win game tonight. Let's not beat around the bush. This is a must-win game. We've got Man City, Liverpool, and Leicester next in our 3 next Premier League games over Christmas. We need to be winning this game tonight. Okay, 20 points before the halfway mark, before we go into those fixtures, is a must. So for me, dropping those players, I have no idea what's going on. I don't mind Fraser, Gale, whoever being dropped for the Man City Liverpool game to give those guys a rest. For me, that's when you change your squad around, exactly, in my opinion, because they're the games where the percentages are going against us in terms of likelihood of getting anything. So, that's where my frustration and disappointment is. Sean Longstaff should not be playing tonight. Sean Longstaff's not just been bad for 1 or 2 games. He's been bad for a number of games now. I'm talking 3 or 4 games. I think there maybe even been 1 game that he's had a good game this season. This is a perfect opportunity, like Adam said, to put in Matty Longstaff and give him a run out. Just adding to the Matty Longstaff thing, I think he's been a victim of circumstance, to be honest. Because I think if he'd have not got injured right at the beginning of the season, I think he had a thigh problem, if I'm right in thinking. I think he would have played a lot of those cup games, and he would have got the minutes under his belt, which I think would have been in discussions when signing the contract. And I think because of that, there's not been then the games where you can bed him in, because they've all been Premier League games. And Premier League games, you can't then just, bed in a player because you've told him in a contract that you're going to give him the games, because it's about getting points on the board. So I think he's been a victim of circumstance there. And I actually believe he'll go on loan in January, which I think is why he's probably going to be out the squad now up until the January window opens, and he'll probably find himself at a Championship club. And rightly so. It should have happened in the summer anyway, in my opinion. But I think it's been harsh on Matty, but I think, the injury hasn't helped him either, because it's been a long injury. But, you've got the likes of Hayden there. I'd have given Hayden 60 minutes tonight. 60 minutes to go out and try and win us the game in that 60 minutes with his box-to-box, presence. And he's the only one that's got a little bit of pace in that midfield. He's the only one that can tackle. Let's be honest, he breaks up the play. He's the only one in the midfield. If you look at all of our midfielders, he's the only one that can do that. We're going to need that tonight. Okay, Fulham are full of confidence. They've got pacey players. They've got players that can travel with the ball. We need to be breaking that up. And I'm sorry, Shelvey and Sean Longstaff do not offer that whatsoever. So, look, the other players that of much of a muchness in terms of, ability-wise, apart from, obviously, Darlow and Wilson up top to provide the goal. So, for me, I am disappointed. It's a concern. Just looking at the team again now. Yedlin, I'll just finish on Yedlin. I talked about on my other stream that I thought he would play today purely because of the pace that they have in attacking areas and the pace that we don't have in centre-back areas. I think we need someone with a little bit of pace at the back there, so that doesn't surprise me. But yeah, I am worried tonight, and my thoughts on the game have certainly changed after that lineup.
I don't like that you're worried, Pete. Doesn't fill me with any kind of confidence at all. Aloid, we'll go to you next.
What's going wrong here? What's going wrong?
We'll go to you, Aloid. What's your thoughts on the selection?
It doesn't seem there is a change in the formation, just a player by a player. I know I don't know much about Paul Dummett, but he seemed like, as you told me, he's a right back. So I don't know what's the change really. Same formation. So maybe I think Steve Bruce just saying, okay, whatever was the wrong in last game, Shelvey, he will fix it, because this is the only change he have been made for me. And I don't know what about the right and left back. He just keep changing them from the beginning of the season. Sometimes Murphy, sometimes Yedlin, Manquillo, and now Paul. So Steve Bruce reminds me of Solskjaer for Manchester United. He always like to blame the player who just changing. Things doesn't just change the players from. It's like that was the mistake. Actually, it's you are the mistakes with your. We know there is no much tactics with Steve Bruce, so he just changing player by player. Wilton, big question mark. I know he come back for maybe two games, but he got very much opportunities to play. I wish if Fraser to have this opportunity and time to play. Fulham maybe doesn't look stronger, but I think he drew last game. I think against Liverpool or Tottenham. I think last game. So and as you said, it's must-win game. It's, Leicester, Manchester City, Liverpool ahead. So we must get the 3 points tonight.
Yeah, it's a tough one up ahead for us, Aloid. Yeah, we need those 3 points tonight. Let's hope for the best.
Yeah. Pete, you were obviously listening in there to the pre-match from Brucey. Do you want to give us an update there? What's he saying pre-game there and Scott Parker?
Yeah, look, he hasn't really said much of anything that's new or exciting. He said that he's made the changes in the team to ensure that the team are fresh. and for those that are available. So he's using the COVID excuse again, even though they're the same squad of players that we've had for the last 2 games. And then he said he's obviously targeting the 20 points. He wants 20 points by Christmas. So really, that was all in which he said. And he didn't really add on in terms of anything else. It was a very, very short interview. So yeah, he's not really told us anything that we didn't know, or any sort of exciting news. There wasn't anything asked about any players that are missing, which has been so unbelievably strange by the media that they haven't asked. You know, we've talked about the Alan St-Maximin situation. I know it's going across Twitter through Steve the last couple of days. You know, no media outlet has asked about our best and most influential player. It baffles me.
Pete,
baffles me.
Pete, I don't think they're allowed to,
No.
mate. I think once the club declared the COVID crisis, they're not allowed to ask about individual players. So the club would have to announce it, which they've obviously
So they can't
not to do.
ask about any player, even if it's involving injuries. Right.
No.
Okay.
No. I read that online the other day that it was a Premier League during the Project Restart, and I assume it's still true today, but certainly during Project Restart, once the club declared a COVID outbreak, so not just like said, hey, we've got one guy missing, but actually like shut down their training ground. It's some sort of privacy issue. A player themselves can come out and say, I had COVID, which is like Isaac Hayden did that, right? He did that interview where he talked about, so did Emil Kraft in Switzerland, in Sweden, which is why they're allowed to name them as having COVID. But apparently, again, at least during Project Restart, that's why the club announced that they had a COVID outbreak, so they didn't have to talk about individual players. Apparently,
right?
So,
okay,
well,
that makes sense. But
I think we're going to have a bit during the show as well, lads. We're going to talk about ASM maybe around halftime, about the dilemma with ASM and what's going on, and how do we work the team around having him, Miggy, Fraser. How do we work that all out? So we'll maybe come back to that at halftime and talk about what do we do with the dilemma that is ASM. What's our best front 3, front 4, and how do we work that out? So we'll kind of get to that one. Rich, good evening. Hopefully, I'm not sure if you're in the back of some chocolate making factory there with those lovely on the back of your headboard.
No,
but
anyway, it's on the wall. It's the Mrs. Favourite right now. Our headboard. I've been kicked upstairs because Christie's on.
Legend, you're out. What's your view on the team tonight, mate?
I think it's pretty much what Adam said before. It's what can you make of it? You never know what to expect with a Bruce team, do you? Originally I looked at it and I thought, it's just a bog standard 4-4-2. But then I looked at it again, and I think the only thing you can probably guarantee is 4 at the back. You've put Shelby back in, and then you've took the armband off Fernandez the other day when he did well with it. Sean Longstaff's been an absolute mess in centre midfield for weeks now. I would have liked to have had him taken out, give him a rest, take him out the firing line, a bit like they have done with Lewis tonight, which I think he needed, to be fair, just to take the heat off him a little bit. I thought Richie might have went back there, but obviously the surprise with Dummett coming in. I didn't realise he'd gone from not even being on the bench to like starting 11 like that, which I was surprised with. But you know what you get with Dummett. He's a solid defender. You've got Clark on the other side of him, who is a solid defender. You know what you're going to get with Kieran Clark as well. His partnership with Fernandez is pretty solid. I don't think there's anything that we disagree about there at the moment. They're probably our best 2 centre-halves. I think the reason he's put Yedlin in, obviously it looks like Mankio must have COVID because he's been missing now for not even in the squad for the last few weeks. So I think the reason bringing Yedlin in is I think that's probably to do with the pace of Lookman, which, I think he would have caused Kraft nightmares down that side if he'd put Kraft in. So I think Yedlin, yes, he's probably more an attacking fullback, but I think that pace there, he does get himself out of trouble sometimes. Yes, he can be, get back too quick. He's been given, known to give the odd penalty away because he's been that rash before, but I think he's the only fullback we've got who's capable of keeping up with the speed of Lookman. Regards to leaving Longstaff out, I would have left him. I'm glad they've actually left Hayden out, to be fair, with giving him 2 90 minutes after coming out of his sick bed. You know, he was man of the match against West Brom. He won everything. In the air, on the ground, he was just absolute rock solid against West Brom. I think we all agreed he was man of the match that game. But then to put him in the midfield against a team full of energy against Leeds the night, and I think, you know, especially when you look at the way that those last 3 goals when they broke away, you're asking someone, as I said, who's just come out of his sick bed, to be chasing a team full of energy. You've got to feel sorry for him. Unfortunately, I think it's so. I'm actually glad he's been given a rest. I probably would have took, as I said, Longstaff out, and I would have probably have put Hendrick in the middle, since he's obviously not going to put Matty Longstaff in there. He's not going to put him on the bench at all. So I think the ideal scenario would have been to put Hendrick in the middle, actually put him in his position alongside Shelvey in the middle. Moving to the front 4, but this is where I think, you know, is it going to be the 2 in the middle, and is it going to be 3 behind Wilson, or are we going to go with 2 wingers and 2 up top? I think, you know, obviously with it's looking at Joe Linton once again starting, which against Fulham, I think we really need to see Gale give him a start against, you know, he's good against Championship opposition. You see what his record's like in the Championship. Put him on against a team that's looking like it's going to go back down to the Championship. He scored goals against them before, and he'll score goals against them again. And he should have started, in my opinion, to Joe Linton. I think everyone agrees with that. Joe Linton should have been on the bench tonight. I would have liked to have seen Fraser start, but perhaps because he's come back from injury, that's why he's just going to bring him on gradually again, probably in the second half. You know what you're going to get with Richie on whichever flank he's on. Almiron is the creativity we need. I think, you know, I think we'll create stuff. It's just whether we take the chances.
Okay.
Cheers,
obviously, players coming out, lining up there now, just getting ready. So we'll do a quick flip around the panel. I think from a point of teams, I think you guys have pretty much said some of the things I would have been saying, and probably from Daz. So we'll flip Adam, to yourself first. Give us your prediction, mate.
2-2.
2-2. Okay. Pete?
I'm going to go 1-1.
Okay. Al-Walid?
Wilson will save us tonight.
Score? No pressure. You know I'm going to put you under pressure after last night, my friend. Exactly. Okay, Rich, give us a score, mate.
I said on Twitter earlier today, I think we'll nick it 2-1.
Okay, I'm going to go for a 1-1. And reason behind it is I think our form is quite similar. We have a couple of wins, a couple of draws, a bit of a hammering. We seem to be in the same kind of cycle between us as teams, albeit Fulham obviously got their draw with Liverpool. And obviously Liverpool put 7 past Crystal Palace today, considering we play them in 11 days, is not a great start to the weekend. So I'll go 1-1. Daz?
I'm going to go for 2-0. And my reasons behind that are, the Fulham have played well, and they got a few draws recently, but they were pretty poor before that. I haven't thought about the scores so much today, but I'm going to quote Sam, because I saw Sam saying 2-0. So I can blame Sam and a reminder if it goes wrong for me. So thanks, Sam.
Yeah, exactly. That's got that. Okay, so we're just getting ready for kickoff here now. Obviously, Longstaff and the guys there. I suppose a quick one throw out to anybody that wants to comment. In the Fulham lineup, who is the major concern in the Fulham lineup for you, Rich?
I would say Tom Kearney. He's always seems to have a decent game against every time we play since we win the Championship. Mitrovic is obviously going to be up for it, and you can know now look. We always seem to have the striker that comes back against us and scores. I think Lookman's got a lot of pace. The one person I am glad not playing is I'm glad that Loftus-Cheek's on the bench.
Okay, Walid, anybody out of Fulham that you're slightly worried about?
Actually, I'm worried about our defense mistakes to not be repeated like Leeds game.
Let's not worry about Fulham then. Let's worry about our own implosion. I understand that fully, given the game midweek. Pete, anybody in the Fulham lineup, mate? Scares you?
I was going to say Cavallero, but they've just said he got a muscle injury in the warm up. So Bobby Reid's now in the team. He's now starting. Bobby Reid, like I say, it's the pace. The pace it worries me more than anything. I think we've got the centre backs to handle Mitrovic to a certain extent. Tom Kearney, yeah. Oh God, Tom Kearney. The midfield's going to be key today, because we've got Shelby and you've got Tom Kearney in there. Who's going to be able to dominate and control that midfield? For the last couple of games, we've had it where the opposition team have completely dominated the midfield. So, I really hope that Longstaff has a good game today. We obviously get on his back like the fans have with Jamal Lewis, but we only want the best for them. We only want them to be playing well. And I do hope he has a good game today, but definitely Kearney and the likes of Bobby Reid, I think, with their pace and Lookman as well. I think those three are really going to be the ones that could sort of disrupt us today.
Okay, Adam.
Yeah, well, clearly Mitrovic is going to be up for it. I mean, we've just seen him take the ball down on his chest beautifully, and then have a one-time shot on the half volley, which tested Darlow all in about 20 seconds. So obviously Mitrovic is going to be up for it. He'll either get sent off or he'll score. It'll be one of the two, or maybe both. I can guarantee something will happen with him. Lookman is a danger, and so is Loftus-Cheek. I think it was Rich that just said that, and he's one of those guys that's actually more dangerous coming off the bench, isn't he? He's not really one of those guys that plays 90 minutes very often. He tends to play 25, 30 minutes, a bit like Traore down at Wolves. He comes on for the last half an hour and creates a lot of problems. But in all honesty, we're more likely to hurt ourselves than any of them are to hurt us. We're not a very good team. I think we're all aware of that. We've not got a lot of very good players. I think we're all aware of that. And I think, just going back to the comment that was made about Dummett, how much he'll play and how he's a wasted player on there. I think Pete was saying that it's a guaranteed sub, isn't it? I think the only reason you might be okay with that is, Pete, is that we ended the last game with, we played games where we end up with Ritchie at left back and Murphy at right back. So instead of seeing Lewis come on and it's a defensive, a nothing straight for like swap, you might end up seeing Ritchie playing left back in the second half with a winger ahead of him. Fraser maybe ahead of him. That's a more offensive substitution than just slinging on another left back. So maybe that's sort of the mentality behind it. And the only partial credit I'll give Bruce, and I hate to even do it, is that we don't know which ones of these players are really struggling for fitness, right? So a lot of the sort of player movement, the only thing you can give him is that he's the one watching them train every day, and they've got data analysts and so on looking at the fitness of these guys. They're going to know better than we are. So, should it be Hayden? Should it be Shelby? Should it be Longstaff, Hendrick? There's a certain level of fitness they've got to keep these guys at, particularly with, game on Wednesday, another game on the weekend, and then the New Year period coming up after that. So, and to Pete's point earlier, it is much for a likeness, isn't it? They're all a bit shit, so it doesn't really matter that much which ones of them are out there, because they're all a bit pants. So, as long as the two or three really good ones are out there, then that's our best chance anyway.
Yeah. I think the thing with probably Yedlin being back in is probably with Ritchie being on that wing. Obviously, Jamal Lewis hasn't really given him the backup. Obviously, if you look at when Lewis played for Norwich, you look at the heat map from Lewis over the period of the season in the Championship for Norwich. He was much further forward. He was the halfway line to the byline, and you look at him playing for Newcastle. He's probably more has been that last third of the pitch on our defensive line than he has getting forward. So I think probably whether Bruce sees that, I think his confidence is shot partly. He's not had some good games. I think for me, probably also one of the things has been when he does have that piece where he's got to cover the winger breaking forward. We keep getting caught out. So I think I can understand with corner for Newcastle. With maybe Ritchie breaking forward, maybe Bruce feels that there's a bit more of a cemented partnership there with Dummett in behind him to give that bit of cover. So I think that's probably the reasoning behind one of the moves. I would think.
Yeah. He's an overlapping fullback, isn't he? He's much better in a team with possession than he is in a team like Newcastle, where he's going to defend a lot of the game. He would have been a great signing for Liverpool. He'd do really well in that Liverpool team with 70% possession every game. He's getting half of that if he's lucky at Newcastle.
They weren't prepared to pay the price for him, were they? They had a bid in as well for him, but wouldn't go to the money that we went, the 15 million that we went. Martin, I'm going to answer your question as well. The Lookman, Carney, the guys was guys that we were previously linked to in the past. But for me, the danger is to haunt us is Mitro on fire. We don't want him to score today. He'll really rub it into us. But so that's who I'd pick out.
What minute are you guys in? Sorry,
5 minutes.
All right. Sorry.
Oh, just one of the things I was going to say. One of the things that I asked Statman Keith, who puts his comments on here, and he does it on my stream as well with the other lads down south. I asked him for the Leeds game what his pass completion was for Sean Longstaff, and it came out at 47.2% for that game in terms of pass completion. Now, for a guy that was billed as the next sort of Michael Carrick, certainly with the ones that were when he was attracted to Man United, that is a shocking stat. So that's one thing I want to see improved tonight is our handling of midfield on the ball. And I think that's why Shelvey was rested midweek. I think that's why he's playing today. But I want to see Sean Longstaff do that today. I want him to be able to control the ball. I mean, the amount of times he's had the ball with no pressure and misplaced his touch or his pass or, just cheaply gave the ball away. I want to see that improvement from him. A massive, massive improvement. And, like I say, I personally think the midfield battle is going to be key today. If we can control that midfield in the centre, I think we'll create chances.
Yeah, no, I think you're right, Pete. Obviously, just from the channel's point of view, I am looking at the comments coming through. Obviously, most of you can see I wear glasses, so I am looking at as many as I can. So we will try and get some of those comments up. Obviously, Roman asking about Newcastle's tactic being a bus. Omar's looking for a stream, so if anybody online's got a stream for him. Funko Freddy, obviously a regular commentator and giving us a few questions. Obviously there he's saying three attempts of putting the ball in the box from a corner and 3 times we can't get the ball past the first man. Going to be a long night. Predictions, we're getting in anything from 1-0 to 3-1. So obviously Stu Penman is influenced. Dude, I'm on the telly. Don't say Newcastle a crap because that's no good.
And we're live.
At least he's honest.
Yeah. Exactly. So we are getting the comments. Obviously, Tom Dixon, regular viewer, who are the lads. Paul Davison, nervous tonight, lads. Not really sure what's going to happen. Bruce is as useful from Trills. Bruce is as useful as a shovel in the swimming contest. Look, we're getting the regular comments, but some good comments. So keep them coming, lads. We are seeing them, and we'll try and get some of those questions up during the evening as we can. Obviously, 8 minutes gone, still 0-0. I think with the Longstaff thing, I suppose to try and pose another question to the panel. I was looking at some of the stats today, and I threw it up on our group chat there earlier today. So over the last 3 seasons, obviously the 18-19 season, 2019-20 and 2021, a couple of statistics for you, just while we've a slight lull in play here. So as the seasons have progressed, going into 2021, we've had 32% less shots per game. We've had 38% less shots on target. We've had 27% less goals from open play. We've had 26% plus more shots conceded per game, so more shots by the opposing team against our goal. We've had 31% less tackles than last season, and we've had 39% less interceptions, 7% less long balls, and 4% less in the opposition half. So, albeit there's a lot of numbers there, I think some of the key ones to pull back out: 32% less shots per game from us as a team. 38% less shots on target, which means we're not striking the ball, we're not attacking on a front foot. 27% less goals from open play. But I think the real damning statistic for me on this, and I know we've spoken about this on numerous matchday lives, 31% less tackles and 39% less interceptions. So one of the things after the Leeds game, I was fairly critical of Shelby, Hayden to a degree, albeit he's played in numerous positions for us, but in particular of Shelby and more so of Longstaff, in that I said, how can our team be an attacking force with the front 3 or 4 that we've got when our midfield not only cannot win a ball, but cannot play an attractive pass or pick up an interception or even get a tackle in. Now, obviously, those tackle statistics are based upon the team. But I suppose the question to the panel, obviously why we're watching the game here is, what needs to happen with our midfield? Why have our statistics changed so dramatically over the last 3 seasons that we're now at a 37 to 32% differential on our attacking statistics midfield-wise? Pete's got his hand up. It's okay. It's not cool. I know I'm wearing a cheap cap.
There's one main reason, and it completely disfigures the tackling stats, and that's losing Mo Diame. Mo Diame was absolutely crucial to our midfield under Rafa Benitez in that he broke up the play constantly and consistently. I would imagine in that midfield that Hayden is second now in terms of Diame, in terms of the amount of tackles that he makes, because Shelby, Hendrick and Longstaff just don't make them. And that's the key, that they're not players that are well renowned for breaking up play. We've had Tiote in the past. We had Gary Speed going even further back. You had the likes of Lee Clark and David Batty that would do that role. Diame gave us that. We don't have that same quality of player now, and that's why that midfield is lost. It's always okay to have a player that's decent on the ball, but you need that player that's going to break up play, because as we saw against Leeds, it was just a constant jockeying of Leeds of midfielders and attackers, because nobody wants to commit and make a tackle, and that for me is one of these things right now. We are missing that massively.
Okay. 2 more there joining us on the panel. Evening to Jamie, obviously popping on as a neutral, and Annika Rice there at the bottom. Obviously has finished his travels around London now that they've gone to tier 4, 5, 7, 9, whatever that tier happens to be. So welcome, Chris. Welcome, Jamie.
Welcome, lads.
We are at just on nearly 13 minutes. As per usual with Newcastle on a game, Newcastle 31% possession, Fulham 69% possession. So yet again at home, Newcastle being underplayed and outfought and outpossessioned yet again. Jamie, obviously, firstly to you, first kind of 13, 14 minutes gone. You guys, I suppose you and Chris, quick view on the team. We're talking about midfield. Obviously, I was shouting out some stats there about how Newcastle as a team have regressed over the last 2-3 seasons with shots per game, interceptions, tackles. Obviously, Pete has said, Mo Diame played a large part in Newcastle's midfield and breaking up the ball. So I suppose just from you two guys, what's your view on the team tonight? And then very quickly, where do you think midfield, what needs to change? What do you think is going wrong that we've regressed that far? In that we've got 37, 38% statistics, of a deficit. Jamie.
When I see the lineup, I was a little bit sort of not necessarily worried, because you've got some creative players in there with Longstaff and Shelby, but there just doesn't seem a lot of defensive nous in that team, which for me would be a little bit of a worry from a Newcastle perspective. They're 2 progressive ball playing midfielders, and they're not the best when it comes to the defensive side of the game. And in the first couple of minutes, literally I've watched about the first 10 minutes of it, and then I was sort of logging in on the laptop to come to you boys.
too many devices.
It's a funny lineup. Obviously, Paul Dummett. Good to see Paul Dummett back, but the midfield was a massive issue for me. But maybe with the five at the back, might give you a bit more stability to play through the midfield a little bit more. But yeah, I would have preferred to see a Hayden in there, more defensive minded player. But definitely got a lot of creativity in that team with Longstaff and Shelby in there. But I just don't know how good they're going to benefit the team defensively. So that would be a little bit of a worry for me. So I think what Pete said earlier, I was backstage when Pete was saying about Name, and I thought he was spot on. He was the sort of link-up player in that midfield there. He done the dirty work for other players to be creative. So I don't think Newcastle particularly have that. It's quite an attacking team. You've obviously got Yedlin, who's a attacking right back in the team now, back in the team. So definitely got some options going forward. In the first 15 odd minutes I've seen of it. Fulham are definitely there for the counter attack, but it's just sort of a little bit slow paced game at the moment. But I do fancy Newcastle today. I know you'll probably talk result wise at the start of the show, and I've missed that, but I do think you'll get the job done. But it'll be an interesting game with that midfield. I'm quite interested to see how that works today.
Okay, thanks a million, Chris. Welcome.
Thanks, mates. I'm glad to see Richie in there. I'm always a fan of him. Sort of gives a spark to the club and sort of an unofficial captain. I'm not so sure about Sean Longstaff. He was pretty poor in the last game. Hopefully improvement this time. Good to see Yedlin back in there. He was someone that I guess was important to us kind of maybe in the championship season, but it's really fallen off lately. So hopefully we see what we've been missing with him. But this is a club that we should beat. We said that last week too. Yeah. So I haven't seen the full lineup. I'm trying to discern who's in and who's out. Yeah, I just hope that Steve Bruce manages the subs well and doesn't leave it too late if we need a injection of pace or something different. Not be afraid to change it up at halftime if we need that too.
Okay, thanks, Chris.
Maybe
back to Deck behind the stage.
Maybe we should just go around the house now and see what everyone's opinion is of how we're performing and about the coming up to the 18th minute. So we'll go, Rich. We'll take you first. What's your thoughts?
I think I'll just type in our chat when Martin went and said Fulham have got 69% possession. I was like, we're playing against one of the worst teams in the division, and we're still having no possession of the ball. And I think this also comes down to what Pete brought up with, and what Adam said about Diame as well. There's no one breaking the play, but as also what Martin said before, the fact that we've got so much percentage of tackling less than what we used to, we don't press as much as well. We just happily let them have the ball and just soak up the pressure, no matter who we play. And it's just I think Sir Bobby Robson's probably turned over in his grave, thinking, I can't believe all the joys I've got to put up with this dross every single week. We should be taking, like we said against West Brom last week when we went 1-0 up, we should have been taking the game to them and not just sitting back on our laurels with a 1-0 lead. And we're just inviting Fulham onto us, and it's 20-odd shots on target for Leeds the other night. You can't have that many shots. You're going to concede one day. We've had absolute momentous performances by Dubravka and Darlow over the last couple of seasons. And, yes, we've got two fantastic keepers, which I think was mentioned on the Three Amigos last night, where they said that they've both been our players of the season for the last 2 years. Like so far, Darlow this year, Dubravka last year, and the year before that.
True.
we shouldn't have our goalkeeper as our best player every year. Right, just as well he is though, because some of the performance we've put in, it could have been absolute rugby scores sometimes. I think that's what happened the other night. That performance was leaders. We deserved to have those 5 considered, because there's been so many performances where it should have been like that beforehand. And I think just sometimes our solid defensive play and our effort by our goalkeeper has either given us a draw or a lucky 3 points. And I think the United just ran out, and it showed all these national pundits that we've been saying that Bruce has been doing a fantastic job and stuff like that. That it's not. The fact that Adrian Durham mentioned it the other night, that says a lot in my book, because he does a lot of things to wind people up to get a bite, and as the fan base, we do bite all the time. But to hear him actually be on our side for a change was refreshing, and to say that we are appalling basically as the football side. We probably are the least entertaining football side in this Premier League, and you would never ever have said that going 25 years ago. We were known as the entertainers and everybody's second favourite team that we used to,
True. Yeah.
When Keegan was there and stuff like that. So it's I don't know. I would just move on. It's just going to be another dross performance for the 90 minutes. There's not another 70 minutes to sit there yet.
Like some of the comments coming in, Jason Carter. I'm here having a beer, not sure whether to laugh or cry. A team under Bruce is a disaster. Funko Freddy, when your current midfield is rubbish when Teone gets mentioned on a regular basis. Daniil Bain said we need to press higher up. Gary McBurney says, how was nobody booked for the stamp on Joe Linton there? Geordie Jedi says 2 crap teams. Keith Longworth says Newcastle will drive you to drink. Yeah, I hear you, Keith. I know exactly.
Before you move on, sorry, Matt, I was going to say one of the things that annoys me. I forgot to mention when we were talking there was we've got the squad that we've got is probably what would you all agree about 80% of what Rafa had, probably apart from like the attacking 4 or so, really.
Come on, man.
But
what's
really concerning, and I think we on Twitter quite a few times this week, was that performance against Leicester, where John Anderson got so excited because of all the tackles coming in and the full body, every single one was full bodied, and there was determination, there was a press there. That's gone, and it's obviously clear to see is because our coach at the minute isn't doing what his job title is. He isn't coaching the team. It's really bad to see a whole team regress. Not just 1 or 2 players, the whole squad regress in the space of 18 months.
Yeah. Cheers, Richie. Chris, you probably can't see our messages. Would you be able to mute your audio?
We can hear the game, yeah. We get the commentary.
That's way better. Yeah.
And Nick are going to be banned from ever hosting again, Chris.
Don't want to get sacked on the first day. Okay, cheers, Chris, and cheers, Richie, for that. Aloid, we go to you next. What you make of the first 23 minutes now? How do you think we're getting on?
I would like to comment on the statistic. Martin says it's all less, so nothing more. We don't have anything of much more. All less. I think this is.
Well, we do. We've had other teams having more shots at us, so there is one plus, but it's also a negative.
Because this means the team is disorganized. I'm just trying to find, and I noticed, and one of the big issue. I don't know your comment, guys, on this. What's the point of Richie on the right side and Almiron on the left side? When they have the ball, the other player, the against player, he know that Almiron, he can't do a cross with his left leg, same as well with Richie. And they are not doing shooting as well, because sometimes when you put lefty on the right side, that's for shooting. But even this we didn't see, so I don't know what's the point of this.
Well, I mean, we're 24 minutes, nearly 25 minutes in here, and so far for me, it's all Fulham. We don't seem to be able to get a hold of the ball. Where Fulham are pinging passes around the midfield and into the front too, and we're not able to get a hold of it. So again, that's my view. Adam, where do you think we're at now at the minute? 25 minutes in, mate. What's happening?
Well, I mean, everyone said it really. It's been a pretty boring game so far. It's opened up in a few areas. Fulham have had more of the possession, but I would think it's not as lopsided as 70-30 as it was a little bit earlier. That being said, if anyone's had a chance, I suppose that Wilson header was a half chance, and Joe Linton's been through a couple times. So, once again, as it has been for a couple of years now, we're really playing like the away team, aren't we? We're hoping for counter attacks. We're not comfortable in possession. We're looking to play over the top. We're looking to play through the gaps, and we're just attacking on the counter when we can. And it's been that way for too long now. So we're just. What's that, Chris?
No, sorry, I'm talking to you. Yeah.
Chris is partying. Well, let's not ask how.
That was Paul.
Fulham, 25, nearly 26 minutes gone here. Free kick to Fulham. Fulham breaking through, two very slick passes onto the edge of the box. So Fulham setting up for a free kick. Kearney over the ball along with Lookman. Mitrovic standing there. So yeah, God help it's not Mitrovic to welly this. I'd be gutted if this happens. But let's hold while we wait for this free kick to go through, and then we'll go back to the panel and with a couple more questions. So we'll just hold on for 2 seconds.
This is a danger.
I can't believe how much of the ball they're getting in that midfield, Martin. They're getting so much space in there.
Yeah. Well, I think to be fair, Jamie, it's nothing that pre-game and probably early game we've spoken about as a midfield.
They're knocking the ball around like a prime Barcelona here, aren't they?
Very much similar to the Leeds game. We've got no control or certainly no possession through that midfield. So here's the free kick. Lookman on the ball, hits the wall and goes over. Corner to Fulham.
Corner.
So the wall did their job. So that's one positive. Not sure that'll change the stats much, but happy days.
Yeah, Fernandez got his head in.
That's a let off. That definitely a let off.
There's some danger though with this corner. Okay, we'll watch this one and then we'll go back to our chat. Okay, it's gone out. We're good. We're good to go. Anyone else want to come in on how you think we're performing now, or we move on to another question?
Look, Rich was right early on. We were just giving them lots and lots of possession, but then we had a stint where we created a couple of chances, and when we managed to put 2 or 3 passes together, and Richie and Shelby were key in that. We were stretching the play, and actually, when we did that, Fulham's defence looked quite shaky. They don't know what to do. They don't know how to handle Callum Wilson. A lot of their clearances were coming back to us in midfield, so we were gaining for about 5, 6, 7 minutes or so. We were gaining a lot of possession and creating chances, but the problem is that it goes in 5 to 7 minute stints, and it's not consistent or long enough for us to actually put enough together to create a number of decent chances. And then now that 7 minute stint's gone, we're now giving them back possession. If you look on the pitch now at nearly 28 and a half minutes or just over that, we are literally just sitting back as a team. Not one of us is pressing the ball when it comes to us, and we're like halfway into our own half. Why are we allowing a team that are newly promoted, that are well below us in the table, right, allowing them to have that much time on the ball when we're the home team? It just doesn't make sense. It makes no sense whatsoever. And that's the frustration, because we did exactly the same to West Brom. These teams are coming to us having next to no possession against any other team. All the teams are dominating them, but they're coming to us and dominating us. And this is why we get so frustrated as a fan base, is because we're seeing this. We have players that are better than theirs on the ball, but we don't give ourselves an opportunity to actually see that come to fruition because the ball's like a hot potato for us. You know, we get the ball and we just want to get rid of it to anybody.
We don't want it. We don't like it.
Yeah. There's nobody showing. Fulham here with the corner. Lookman broke into the box there, right on the edge of the box. Yedlin takes him down. Referee looks at it, but gives Fulham a corner. So, again, we're taking... we start to obviously make our own lives difficult with the way that we play. But I think, for me, again... You know, with the possession, you know, Pete, I think, you know, I 100% agree with you. We sit back and we invite that on. So I think, you know, I suppose my question to the guys on the panel is, you know, if you are a manager with your team playing against Newcastle, I mean, what are you saying to them pre-game in your week build-up or a couple of days build-up? You know, obviously in 2-3 days time we got Brentford in the cup. 11 days time we've got Liverpool in the league. So I mean, if you're watching this game and you are an opposing manager coming up in a couple of games time, I mean, what are you saying to your players, you know, with regards to setup and how you approach the game as a team? What are you saying to them when they come to play Newcastle? Are you just saying go at it because they know that we can't keep a hold of the ball, we've got no midfield? You know, do you play wide? Do you play through the middle? Do you play between our two lines of four? So I suppose, you know, I'll throw it up to the panel. Adam, I'll start with you. If you're Brentford's manager or you're Jurgen Klopp coming up in the next 7 to 10 days, what are you telling your team about how to set up against this current Newcastle team?
Well, you know you're going to have a lot of possession, right? So it comes down to sort of what you do with that possession. And this is why we beat these shit teams like West Brom, because they can't do anything with the possession. And we end up getting 2 chances and taking them both. That's all it comes down to in our games, isn't it? We get 2 or 3 chances per game. And if we take them, we might win. If we don't take them, we'll probably lose, which is probably what will happen in this game. So it looks like they're going to have 65, 70% of the possession. And it just comes down to what they do with it, really. So if I'm Liverpool, you know, I don't even bother turning up for training. I rest most of the lads that week, play a bunch of the reserves because they'll get a good practice in as well. But I know what you're asking, Martin, and it's so hard to even wrap your head around it because it would almost be hard to play against Newcastle in some ways because it's so hard to game plan for it because there's nothing to game plan for. You know, there's no great plan. There's no identity to the group whatsoever. It's very difficult.
Yeah. Okay. Pete, what's your view, man?
Oh, I don't know.
Obviously, Fulham there with a really good chance with the ball in, shoots wide.
To me again, Martin.
Sorry, man.
Just repeat the question to me again.
So I was just saying, obviously, if you're an opposing manager, mate, if you're Brentford's manager or you're Jurgen Klopp, you know, Adam is saying there, you know, you probably can afford to stay away from training and just turn up. You know, you're going to get possession. So it's about what you do with that possession. You know, which obviously Fulham are obviously starting to do the same here. You know, good chances, and at some point, probably Adam is right. You know, they'll get a chance and they'll take it. So if you're an opposing manager, if you're Brentford or you're Liverpool in the next, you know, we've got both of those teams in the next 7 to 12 days. What are you saying to your players when you're going to play us?
For me, very easy in terms of the midfield. I pack out the midfield. I play with the midfield 3 because you know you're going to get possession in there. You can allow then one of the midfielders to go forward and support the attacking players. I keep it narrow. And you can win it through the middle. You don't want to be playing out the wings because we are relatively strong there with pace with our fullbacks and wingers. So I'd be playing through the middle. I'd probably even put them up front and just say, right, just pack out that middle end of the pitch, ensure that you can pass, and you will get through eventually, just like Fulham have. And Fulham should have had 2 goals in the last 5 minutes quite comfortably. But look, for me, it's very, very simple to play against Newcastle. It is because you get so much possession. So the possession of the ball is the hardest part of playing football, because you need to be able to score a goal, and to score a goal, you need possession of the ball. So we're effectively giving 50% of the game to the opposition right from the beginning, because we're saying as a team, have the ball. We're doing half of the work for them. So it's just a case of what they can do and what they can produce. So yeah, packing out the midfield three, and certainly I'd possibly play with one, maybe two strikers up front, certainly with someone with pace. Someone with pace, because that's the thing that we lack in the centre. We're good in the air, so I wouldn't be crossing balls into the box, because that's one of our strengths. We can get rid of it, but I'd be playing narrow through the defenders with pace, and that's what Fulham seem to be doing right now with Lookman and Bobby Reid. Because Mitrovic, he's holding up the ball, but he's not really a factor in the box as of yet. But what you're seeing is Lookman and Bobby Reid playing inside the fullbacks, inside the fullbacks and the centre backs, and what we're doing there, we're allowing them in. They're getting lots and lots of time and space on the ball.
Yeah, absolutely. Just game. Oh, lucky Fulham with a shot. 35 and a half minutes gone. All Fulham at the moment. Tom Kearney with a shot there, screws it wide. As Pete said there, Fulham playing through. Nifty little free kick on the left-hand side. A bit of a clash there. I'm not sure who that was. Let's just see. Longstaff clashing with somebody in the penalty box. But again, so again, all Fulham. Chris, where do you think we're at? If you're setting up, what are you telling opposing teams? Where do you think we're at the minute in this game, obviously, where things are at the minute?
That's for me.
Yeah, you're the only Chris, mate. I know sometimes we have two, and that's really hard.
Sorry. I'm a little quiet here.
That's okay. I can call you Harriet if you want. It's up to you.
No, she's my hosts are not going to appear on camera. Yeah,
we can only wait.
Just to answer the previous question, I would echo what Pete said. You pound the ball through the middle. It's kind of like I'm also watching Big Ten football, and it's kind of like 3 yards and cloud of dust. Like they're not so strong up the middle. We are stronger on the wings, but I definitely feel like the number one message for like an opposing squad is that the midfield play is not up to Premier League, top standard, and that if you can play the ball through, counterattacks and that kind of stuff, you've got a good chance. And I would say that we're pretty solid in goal. We haven't seen sort of the same kind of clangers from that Dubravka had. But obviously he's a good goalie, but I would just generally think that we definitely, without ASM, we don't have that dynamism, and sort of we have a creative playmaker in Shelby, but he's kind of more of a defensive midfielder and kind of sits back and plays the ball forward, and it's really not a
shot on target.
Shot on target, yeah. Shot on target from Almiron. Ball played through Wilson into.
I'm a minute behind.
Richard,
I'm not on the same
So Richie was
Richie into Almiron. Almiron with the shot and a save by the Fulham goalkeeper. So sorry for jumping all over you, Chris. Jamie as a neutral.
No, I pretty much, I don't have a lot of more original stuff to add. Just kind of echoing the other lads in terms of saying that our weakness is through the middle, and that's what Fulham, Liverpool, Man City will look to exploit up through the middle.
Yeah. Okay. Couple of comments off the YouTube chat. Michael Whitten, Brucey's tactics at its best. Dave Harrison said, "So glad I can't afford Sky. Listening to this is awful." Thanks, mate. Trying to give you an alternate view, but maybe we're not as good. Dr. Octa says, "No ideas, just hoof it up the pitch." Geordie Jedi, "It's about time we had a shot." Well, Geordie Jedi, we've just had one. So you're really enjoying the game. Stephen Carr, I don't know if it's the real one, says, "Watching Newcastle for 42 years." Probably not him. Says, "Never seen a team play like this." Mate, you should come back next week. We do this every week. Bruce is worth for a takeover. Yeah, hear you there. Jason Carter says, "Sky Sports are desperate for Mitrovic to score. Thank God he's useless as ever. Stu Flyboy says Steve Bruce 40 minutes in and only one shot on target. Davey Harrison's come back and said, no, it's not you guys. You're great. It's just the match. We knew that. That's fine. Tom Dixon says this team should be up there for a beat and just came up from the championship. Mike Gent is saying, pundits are saying before kickoff, Newcastle fans will be expecting the 3 points. We'll go back, I suppose, to post Newcastle teams. We don't expect anything. What we would like is a team that tries, and we're not getting that. So
I've heard that before, Martin. I've heard that before.
Yeah, I know. I don't get done for playing. I don't know who said that. I'm not going to go into I'd love it if we beat them, because I know I'll definitely get done for that. Jamie, obviously, as a neutral, and don't say United because you know you'll get hounded. So between Newcastle and Fulham, a couple of things. How do you think the game is so far? And secondly, if you were obviously setting up to play against us, what would you be saying? So if you're Ollie in a few weeks when we play Manchester United, what do you think? What's Ollie's tactics when Man United get to play us at Old Trafford? What do you think he's going to set up as?
Quick one, Martin. How did that go when Keegan done that interview? How did it go? And how did it go again? I'd love it if we beat them.
Yeah,
can we kick Jamie off, please?
I'm joking.
There's something wrong with your mic there, Jamie. We'll just mute you for a second there.
And transmission.
I'm only joking. Steve, don't cut me off if you're there. I think what Peter said regarding the tactics for the away team. I think what Peter said, if you've got narrow ball playing midfielders in that midfield against this Newcastle team at the moment, you'll have a field day. If you've got people that are comfortable on the ball with a lot of space, like for example City's midfield, when they've got De Bruyne, Rodri, players that are very comfortable on the ball, they'll have a field day because Fulham are looking like a very good team here. You wouldn't think Fulham were where they were in the table if you were watching this and you never watch football usually. So if it was up to me and I had to pick a team to play Newcastle at the moment, I'd be going for a 4-3-3.
Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Own goal, Fulham take the lead. 41 and a half minutes gone.
Yeah, I'm on 40.
Richie.
Absolutely shocking.
Newcastle 0, Fulham 1. To be fair, it's probably coming. Fulham have had all of the plays so far. Ball in from the corner, headed down, completely unchallenged. It bounces up off the deck, hits Richie pretty much in the side of the arm, stroke shoulder into his face, and goes in. And John Joe Shelby stood on the goal line, not even 2 inches from him, and is unable to stop the ball going into the net. Newcastle 0, Fulham 1, 42 and a half minutes gone.
Martin, was it just me, or was actually anyone meant to be playing on the post there? Because you had Dummett from about 3 yards to the side of the post, and Shelby was on the post, and he moved off it. Then Richie went towards the post. Surely your whole job is, if you're going to be on a post, you stay on a post?
Yeah, well, I mean, the movement from the back for me there was nobody seemed to know what the hell they were meant to be doing. Obviously, Richie has gone to post, come back out. Shelby is in there. It's obviously ricocheted off the deck and hit Richie. Probably not really his fault, but it's obviously gone off him and gone in. But John Joe Shelby stood in the goal line looking at it and doesn't even swing a boot at it. Fulham again on the break through midfield here now. Richie rescues that back. 43 and a half minutes heading towards half time. Newcastle 0, Fulham 1. I'll hand over to the other half of that. Deck, what do you think is going on here, lad?
Disaster strikes, Martin. Yeah, right before half time as well. Like when Bruce gets them in at half time, is he going to make a few changes? No, he's not. He's going to stick with it again. He's got. But let's see how it goes. I think you need to switch it up a bit some way. I don't know what. I think we need. I know it's early days, but we need someone like Fraser to bring him in. Maybe at halftime. Maybe make that change that Adam suggested at the start. put Richie into Dummett's spot. Like Dummett has will have 45 minutes under his belt then, and bring in Fraser and switch out, do a swap there in with the wingers or something. But yeah, it's not looking good.
Yeah, we're being carved open here at the moment. 44 and a half minutes gone.
I don't
We're
understand
we're behind
what formation they're trying to play.
Yeah,
it's like they're
behind
trying to sit back
that should be getting relegated this year with
and
a
catch
former
Fulham
player.
on the counter.
Oh, sorry, Daz. Go on, Daz.
No, I was just going to say that. Yeah, we're behind. We're behind to Fulham, who should be getting relegated this year. You would imagine with a former player in Scotty Parker, Furler, the last person to hold the Intertoto piece of paper. But anyway, yeah, I don't know.
There's the statistics just coming up there for the first 45 minutes. Newcastle 33% possession, Fulham 67. So again, nothing is changing here, guys. We've got no possession of the ball, being outplayed at home, sitting back and letting an opposing team come onto us with 67, nearly 70% possession. I mean, what do you know? How do we fix this? How do we change this? Rich, you know, I'm not sure whether you've just paused your video there. No, you're still with us.
No, I'm still with us. I'm just looking at the drop and just going like in utter shock. Do you know what I mean?
How are we being outplayed by Fulham with 67% possession at home at St James's Park? To be fair to Daz's comment, with a team that have only come up from the Championship but are outplaying us at home.
Yeah.
Because we've got nothing in centre midfield. We've literally bypassed the whole of the centre midfield for the whole game. Every time we've won the ball back at the back, they've just looked the ball up to Joelinton and Wilson. If you look at when they broke there with Kearney, you had a row of four, and the front two just stood on the halfway line, weren't even tracking back. So it looks as though he said, look, we'll soak up the pressure, just hit it long, and then Callum or Joel do something at the top. But, you know, our midfield hasn't been like good in the middle. So I say in the middle of the midfield hasn't been good for a long time. We've had no quality in that middle of the park for a long, long time. And that's the issue, the main issue that needs addressing in January. If we either get any money or they'll target someone on a loan. But we need someone in that middle of that park who can, you know, press, chase, break them up. Because at the minute, everything is just literally bypassing no matter who is in the middle. It doesn't make a difference what combination of whether it's Longstaff, Shelvey, Hayden, Shelvey, you know, Hayden, whatever, Hendrick, whatever. It doesn't make a difference. That centre midfield is getting bypassed every single week, no matter what the quality of the opposition is. If you can pass and move, little intricate little passes, you'll get through that. You'll just feel like it's like a hot knife through butter. Yeah. That's it. There's just nothing there that will break down any opposition, and it'll probably be the same against Brentford on Tuesday night as well.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree. Obviously, we're at half time. Newcastle 0, Fulham 1 at half time. So if any of the panel want to go take a quick break, we'll get a couple more questions set up. We'll go back round, but for those hanging on, we'll go round. Al Walid, half time, Newcastle 0, Fulham 1. What are your thoughts?
Two things I said regarding Almiron and Richie. Almiron got opportunity, the best opportunity, most dangerous one, but because he's a right foot, he couldn't shoot it strongly with the left. So we miss a chance because this thing. And Richie is not position. I don't know what he was doing in there. I think if he wasn't there, the ball will be out the field. It's weird, yani it's coincidence, but he have wrong position in the box because he's not in the post. He's not facing to the goalkeeper. He should his back to the goalkeeper. It's totally wrong position. You asked earlier about what we should do if you are rival coach against Newcastle. I will basically do as we say it in Leeds, Bielsa do. first defense line in Newcastle, Sean, Staff, Hendrick, Shelby. I think the coach should make them exhausted by long balls, as we see with Belsa. And because these players usually they have no strength in build the counter attack or to have position and go forward and do playmaking. So their job is just for defense. So I will ask the players to just drop the long balls to make them tired. And we see here as well with Fulham goal, long ball mistake. This happened a lot lately. Disorganized choice by Steve Bruce. I don't know when he was gonna learn. It's weird. I don't know. We beat Everton. We did good games. I don't know why these mistakes happen. It's disorganized. If I'm sure if any players just play his actual position, we will see better performance.
Okay. Few comments coming in at half time on the chat. Steve Bruce says the players are so poor with their attitude. I don't know what to do with them. They need a bit of mindset. Funko Freddy said, tell you what, their diet must consist of Burger Kings and Mackie D's because they're all too sluggish. The Bruce out comments are starting to come in from Chicken Ariantle. Trull says, if I was a rival coach, I'd shake my head and just go out there and get the win. Chris Smart says, unlucky for Richie, but totally deserved for Fulham. What else have we got? Neil McMillan says, there's no shape at all. Miggy running around like a headless chicken. Stu Boy again says, well done, Mike Ashley, for destroying a once proud club. Barry Hogan says, Brucey's look has made us look much better than we are. Ian Hutchinson says, Bruce couldn't organise a setup in a brewery. And David Laws says, had enough of the Bruce of negativity, time for him to go. So look, comments are coming through. People are making their points. But as per normal, we're being outplayed at home. 1-0 currently to Fulham. So Daz, I'll hand over to you while I take a nature break and let you follow.
Aston Martin. Chris, we'll go to you next, I think. And what would you do to change it? How would you mix it up?
Gosh. I just too many things, start over. I would just I'm sort of at a loss for what we can do to turn this around, because it's sort of like go back to how we were playing at the beginning of the last match. I think we definitely need shape, and we're just sort of letting them dominate in the midfield and just turning us over. So I don't know if there's like a key sub that we need to make. I think Yedlin might be the weak link. He hasn't played, and we're playing two defensive players that we haven't played all season pretty much. So I don't know whether they're the weak link. I wouldn't make two defensive subs for three because we need some offensive power. I didn't study who's on the bench in terms of offensive players, but definitely it seems like we need to throw on offensive threat like Gill or something, or maybe desperate times Andy Carroll if is he on the bench.
Yeah, he's on the bench as well, Chris.
Yeah, it just seems like we're not we're sort of even in the shots, but sort of everything is kind of even with a club that we should be far superior to, and no matter where we are in the standings after the last match, we're just playing out of sorts, and short of getting rid of Steve Bruce and starting over again, we make do with what we have, and it's kind of like I think again Richie, even though he made the mistake, it's kind of unfortunate there. I think he's somebody that built around, and maybe he's not good enough to be an everyday starter, and that's why he gets the occasional spot start when we're playing multiple matches, during a festive period. But I think we just need. I don't know. I really don't have any easy answers. I think we just kind of have to change our shape and go attack and not be so vulnerable at the middle.
Yeah, I think since you mentioned Richie, I think Richie will be someone that'll feel he owes us now. It's got in off him. It's not completely his fault, let's say, but he'll be up for trying to make amends there. So we'll go to you next, Jamie. What would you do to change it? Or like we have Gillespie, Carl, Hayden, Fraser, Gale, Henrik, Murphy, Lewis, and Kraft on the bench. How would you switch it up?
I was just having a little read of the comments there while Chris was speaking, and there's a comment from I Am Shearer that says, "I don't know what Yedlin brings to the team," which I've got to agree with him, because for me today, you ain't attacking. So what does Yedlin offer you defensively? I mean, I've watched him a lot, and I don't follow the club as close as you guys. I don't rate him at all.
Neither do I.
I don't rate him going forward, and I definitely don't rate him defensively. So if Bruce is sitting on that touchline, why can't he see that this is not working? That's I know you sort of do shows on this every week, and you must be sick to the back teeth of talking about the formation, because when I watch them, and I'm not even a fan, as you guys know, and it's just like, surely he must be able to see that that's not working. Sure, he has to go to a flat back four if he's going to go for a 4-4-2. Sorry. And bring on a little bit of pace in the wide positions, because you're not getting the ball to attack. He's trying to play, he's trying to soak up as much possession and bring them on and catch them on the counter-attack, like Pete said earlier. But there is no pace in the team wide, and the ball's not coming because the creativity isn't there. They don't have the defensive players to sit deep in the middle and win that ball back deep to the of Almiron and Richie on the wings to be able to break at pace and get Wilson and Joe on the ball earlier. They're trying to play a counter-attack, but he doesn't have the players in the team to play it. It's like we play Fred and McTominay, and they are good at what they do, whereas Shelvey and Shelvey and Longstaff, they ain't that type of player. They can play the ball when they've got it, but they ain't going to put their foot in. And the midfield is completely lost. So for me, if I was at Bruce at halftime, and I'm not expecting him to do this because I've watched too much of Newcastle to know he ain't going to change it, he's got to go to a flat back four. I would take Yedlin off for a more defensive player. He's got to have a solid back four. He's got Dummett in there. He's going to have to sacrifice one of the centre backs to then play a four in midfield. Put some pace on the wing, so options that are going to create chances. Get a more defensive-minded player next to a Shelvey or a Longstaff, because they've no doubt they've got the ability to play the balls off, but they need a workhorse next to them. It's all well and good having two footballers, but it doesn't work. It's like playing Pogba and Van de Beek in the midfield for Man U. It doesn't work. Although our fan base don't like it, just like yours don't like certain players in the midfield, Hendrick and to a certain extent Hayden, a player like that has to play that sort of game. So if he's trying to play a counter-attack with the complete wrong players in the team, he's playing an attacking fullback on the right, Yedlin, who's, quote me if I'm wrong, he hasn't played a lot of football recently, yeah?
No, you're right, he hasn't.
So he's brought him back and he's brought Dummett back, two players that have hardly played, and expected them to be at pace with the Premier League and play in a flat back five, but then break at pace. I don't know what position Richie's playing, but he looks completely lost. I'm gathering he's got Dummett in as a third centre back.
No, it's exactly what you said, Jamie. It's a flat back four. It's a 4-4. Yeah. He's playing a 4-4-2 right now. With Richie playing on the right, Amir on the left.
Dummett's there with Richie in front of him. I think Dummett's there as a cover with Richie breaking
forward.
We're not getting anything from that.
Or if he does want a little bit more stability, take Joe Linton off, bring on a defensive-minded player like a Hayden or Hendrick, someone that's going to do the dirty work. Because Shelvey, I can't remember who mentioned it earlier, but someone was saying Shelvey plays as a deep line playmaker. Shelvey isn't a deep line playmaker or an attacking midfielder. He's like in between, but I don't even think he's an in between either. It's like he doesn't do anything. Every time I've seen him on the ball, he's turning back and looking for an easy option, and then he's blaming Richie for the own goal on the back post. How is that Richie? He didn't even try and swing his foot at it. I can't imagine how frustrating you get watching Shelby because he annoys me. Like, and
there's quite a few that annoys.
Just as a neutral, and I'm just like, I don't understand what he does. He's such a talented player as well. He was a talented player, but he doesn't seem interested to me. And where's Maximin, by the way?
That's a very good question.
Boys. So we will come on to that. So on the bench, guys, we've got obviously Lewis, Kraft, Hendrick, Hayden, Murphy, Fraser, Carroll, and Gill. So I suppose before we start to get to the second half, and we'll go around, Daz, we'll start with you. What do you want to do to change it up, my friend? What do we do? Who do we bring on? What do we change?
Okay, I take off Dummett. I move Richie into left back. I'd get Fraser on. I'd get Gale in for probably Joe Linton. And I'd also, I'd be making these pretty rapid as well. If not all together and close enough, I'd be bringing on Murphy instead of Yedlin, because Murphy has put in a ball in a few games for us, and he scored the free kick before, and he put in the ball for was it Wilson or someone before? So yeah, I'd go. That's who I'd switch. Get rid of Dummett, Yedlin, and Joe Linton. Go Fraser, Gale, and Murphy.
Players just obviously coming back out, having a bit of a warm-up. No changes, as we would expect from Steve Bruce. So same players warming up. Certainly Richie, Longstaff, and Shelby there. I could spot coming off and warming up on the side there. So for me, yeah, I agree. I think I would certainly get Joe Linton off for Gale. I would get Murphy on there and Fraser. I think we need proper wingers in there. Same for me. I would move Richie back and then get Fraser and Murphy on there. Probably given the showing from the first half, it's a toss up between Joe Linton and Almiron as well. I don't think okay, it doesn't look.
They're all standing in a little huddle of who they're going to make a sub, but
okay, let's see.
Hayden's
coming on. So let's go defensive.
Okay, Fernandez mustn't be right from COVID. So if he's taking Fernandez off, so Hayden's going to slot in the back again. Solid.
So is that Hayden going to a centre back, or is that Hayden going into?
Your best is as good as ours, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
I don't think anyone knows.
He'll be going in at centre. Yeah, he's going in at centre.
Let's not ask Bruce. Okay, so one change, Hayden coming on for Fernandez. We're up into the second half, so I think one of the things there, one of the questions, Jamie, you said there about some maximum, and I suppose from our perspective, one of the things, obviously, me and Daz did absolutely no prep for this show whatsoever because we know that Steve doesn't. So we didn't professional or anything else. But all joking aside, we did actually have a little half hour together earlier in the day. So I suppose here's one of my questions that I'll throw out there, which is to Jamie's point. What the hell is happening with ASM? Is it COVID? Or is there something between him and Bruce, a bit of a falling out? And if he does play in the current team, how do you fit ASM into the current lineup when you've got the likes of Fraser, Almiron, Richie, Joe Linton, Wilson, Gale? So I know, Pete, you look totally enthralled there. So we'll throw this out to you first. So
and sorry, Martin, can we take a second, because there's going to be a free kick coming up here. So you can start at Pete, but there's an important piece coming up here.
Hold on for 2 seconds, and then we'll go back. So we'll give Pete a bit of time. So what's going on with ASM? Is he sick? What's happening with him and Bruce? And where do you fit him into the team if he does play, Pete? So we'll get this free kick out the way, and then we'll come to you, mate.
Okay.
Shelby lining this up from the looks of it.
Can he redeem himself here?
Richie standing over as well, so it's going to be a right footer or a left footer. Fulham.
We need a goal right now.
I've seen a bit of this now. Players lining down behind the wall and stuff, so they can't rattle it along the ground. Shelby with the free kick.
Christ, man.
Oh, absolute
garbage. It's absolutely garbage.
Yeah, absolute.
It's absolute garbage. He was nowhere near the ball. It's shocking.
Free kick from Shelby, far right-hand side, puts it about 10 yards wide of the post. Absolutely.
80 grand a week, man. 80 grand a week. The guy's on. He's been the most expensive or most well-paid player since for years now. Callum Wilson's the only one that's gone above him, and he's producing stuff like that. Seriously, Jamie was right early. The guy's finished. He's finished. He's just a luxury player. He's a luxury player that would be a squad player at many other clubs. Right? We're not in a position to have him just strolling through 90 minutes. Can't have it anymore.
No, and that's it, Pete. Like we need that other midfielder, this box-to-box midfielder. And okay, fair enough. If you have that luxury then of having Shelby to play one or two matches or come on as a sub and try and do something magical or the Hollywood pass, but not a regular starter, not a captain, not a leader on the pitch. No, yeah. And then at the same time, because we have no one else, when he was missing and injured, we missed him. You know, when he's on the pitch, we don't want him. When he's off the pitch, you know, we want him because we have no one else. So he's an enigma, really.
Do you know what it is, Pete? Maybe I don't want to talk too much about United on here because anybody that will know me from.
Sorry, you're off. Which United now? Come on,
Man United. But
don't have me.
Do you know the problem? Do you know the problem with it is, Pete? I would like to hear your point of view on here because I think we've got the same sort of view on Shelby. Like a lot of Man United fans criticise Matic and McTominay playing as that pivot, that two. So if Newcastle played that and they had a Hayden, I know Newcastle fans are a bit sort of skeptical on Hendrick. But do you know what it is? Like, for me, looking as an outsider, that would be a better lineup for a more stable team than what he's doing now. So I don't even feel like Bruce is getting the decisions right. He ain't getting the decisions right with the lineup, but he's not benefiting the team with the formation he's playing either. Like, would you prefer to see something like that in that midfield? Because every time I watch Newcastle, I think the team is so unbalanced.
Do you mean like the pivot that you've got with Fernandes at the top of the diamond or the top of the triangle with Matic and Fred or whoever in that sort of deeper role? Is that what you mean?
Obviously, it's hard to say because I know Bruce don't play the same tactics as Ollie. But Ollie plays a double pivot in front of the back two because it's no secret our back two isn't very good. But I almost feel like if he had Hendrick and Hayden in that midfield tonight, yours would be a lot more balanced with regards to being able to soak up possession and play them balls to play on the counter-attack. It's like he's trying to play counter-attack with attacking midfielders in the team. And the thing is, they're not even attacking midfielders. They're not influencing the game like I have to use it again, but like a Fernandes. Like, none of them have got that ability to play that sort of role. But for me, that midfield is just if you're going to play Longstaff or Shelby, if Shelby's in that team, there has to be three in midfield for me because he's not good enough to do the defensive work. Yeah,
no, you're right. But the biggest problem is, look, if we were going to play that same sort of pivot in midfield, then yes, the natural thing would be is play Shelby further forward, so you've got the license to. Mitrovic is on the ball.
Corner.
Mitrovic has been awful. Anyway, yeah, you look. You would say, yes, Shelby get further forward because he's got the ability to play those passes like Bruno Fernandes does that can create chances because he's got a decent pass on him. The problem is he doesn't want to. You could play Shelby there. You could tell him to play there, but he'd still go and sit on the centre-backs and take 2 or 3 touches and play a 50-yard ball because that's ultimately what he wants to do. The problem is Shelby's attitude. The reason why he didn't make it at Liverpool is because he didn't stick to a system. So if they told him to play somewhere, he wouldn't. and he'd go off and do his own little thing, he'd play his own little game.
Jane Austen,
Sometimes it would
like that,
work,
Pride and Prejudice,
most of
they're
the
saying,
time
like,
it wouldn't.
like, Mr.
And that's
Darcy's
the
got
biggest
this,
problem,
you
is
know,
that
and
Shelby
Mr.
would,
Bingham's got
could play
this.
there and do well there, but ultimately he just wouldn't do it, and he wouldn't be consistent with it. And that's why it would just fail before it even got a chance to take off. And this is the problem with Shelby, is that I'm not sure if it was Daz or Martin just made the point, is I think it might have been Daz, that you don't want him in the team, but when he's not in there, we haven't got anyone else that does what he does. So it's like it's a lose-lose situation. Ultimately, what we need to do is just cash in on the guy. The guy's nearly 30. The guy's nearly 30. He's had a good run at Newcastle, right? This has probably been his best, longest consistent run at a football club to try and be successful. But yet we're still having these same conversations. And ultimately, his best football season was in the Championship, which I think tells you everything you need to know. You know, as a Premier League player, there's not many teams other than his boyhood club at West Ham that would probably take him right now. And you know what? If we get the opportunity, we need to take it. We have to, because we need to move on from these type of players now. We need to get players in that are going to offer more than just a 50-yard ball every now and again. And you know what? We said it the other day. Even that's not working now.
There he is.
Even that's not working nowadays. The 40, 50-year-old yard ball isn't working now for him. So even his sort of party trick isn't producing. So it gives you absolutely nothing. And that's the biggest frustration. But, you know, he should be the leader. It's not just about money, but with money comes responsibility. If you're earning that sort of packet, you should be having a little bit more responsibility about you on the pitch, but also off it. And, you know, we're still seeing the same Shelby we did 4 years ago. And that's the frustration. You know, he's in the twilight or the prime of his career, but yet we're still seeing the same old bullshit every week from him. Every week. We don't know what type of performance you're going to get. His attitude's poor. He looks lazy. He looks like he can't be bothered. He looks shattered after 25 minutes. It's the same crap every time, and I'm sick of it. I'm sick of us having to pander to these players, right? These players that think they're better than what they are, and believe that we need them. We don't. I'd much rather someone of less ability on the ball, but someone that's got a bit of heart, like a Hayden, that can work hard, like a Diarme. Ability-wise on the ball wasn't nowhere near Shelby, but I tell you what, he used to boss midfield. I don't know who talked about it. That Leicester game, I think it was Rich. That Leicester game where we went through and put all those tackles in. I was there. I was in the away end both years, that year and then the year after. Both won under Rafa Benitez against a high-flying Leicester team at that time. Diarme bossed that midfield. He wouldn't produce much quality on the ball, but I tell you what, he battled, he was physical, he put his foot in, he weren't afraid. He let them know that they were in a battle, and they were shook from the first minute, and that won the battle there and then. We need a player like that in this team. And then you put the likes of Longstaff and Hayden alongside them, and I tell you what, it'd be more, would be more successful in that midfield that way.
That's it.
Yeah, Pete. Just to comment as well.
Hey, I just want to say, lads, keep up the good work. I have been working. Great to see Mikey Y put, sorry, Steve, you've been relegated. This is a new and improved show. Top of the matters to you. Thanks very much, mate. Listen, lads, keep up the good work. Newcastle not keeping up the good work. I've got to go back off and work now. But listen, lads, keep up the good work. And thanks very much, lads. Absolutely brilliant. I've dipped in and out, but well done, lads. I just wish Newcastle United were putting in the same effort.
So was always somebody going to let us down anyway, so.
Yeah, Peter, I was just going to say, the baldy-headed guy that used to be on the show, he has mentioned previously that Rafa, but just before he left, he was getting rid of Shelby, and only because Rafa left, we're stuck with him. You know, so
I'm not surprised, Daz. And there was a lot of talk about, even in the Championship season, he didn't want him, but there was no one else, and they didn't have the money to sell him and then replace him with someone. So that's why he was kept. I'm not surprised. He's a luxury player. He's not a player that you can depend on. He's not a player that you know you're going to get guaranteed 7 out of 10s from week. You just don't know, and that's the frustration. That's the frustration with him. But look, I think we'll talk about the ASM thing initially.
Yeah.
With regards to the ASM situation, look, there's clearly, with the fact that fans have said that they've seen him around the city, says to me that he's not self-isolating. Therefore, it's not likely to be COVID related. And what Adam said in the fact that because we've had a COVID sort of like incident at the club, we can't talk about individual players. So that says to me that there is something going on, but it's worked perfectly. It's worked perfectly in the situation in which they can't actually talk about the situation, so it then doesn't become news. So for us, we're going, where is he? Where is he? Where is he? And they're quite comfortable in their seats knowing that they can't talk about it. So I think, look, there's something definitely going on. He's definitely frustrated. I completely understand why. And this performance today for the last 57 minutes proves why Alan St-Maximin's frustrated. Because I'll tell you what, I'm sorry, the guy was playing Europa League and Champions League football before he came to us and producing on that level. The guy's quality. Okay, and at 23 years old, he's only going to get better. He's going to be one of them, like a Gini Wijnaldum, and even though I didn't like him at Newcastle, Mo Sissoko, where he's going to go off to a better team and he's going to end up winning things and he's going to end up playing on the biggest stages. And we're going to be sitting there thinking, flipping hell, what was Bruce doing with him? Because we've got Steve Bruce. That's the reason. He's the reason why we're not progressing as a team this year. The league is so open. I've said it so many times. It's such an open league this year. Anybody, anything's possible. You've got Everton that are sitting second in the table, for God's sake. You've got West Ham and Villa that are up there challenging those better teams. We beat West Ham first game of the season. It's open. So it's open for us to really have a go at it and see what happens. We talk about breaking the top 10. For me, we seem like the only club that is still in a pre-COVID pandemic situation where we're just following the same tact and the same line every time.
Go on,
Callum. Penalty.
Show me a penalty.
Go on, Wilson.
Come on, Wilson.
50
minutes. Newcastle 0, Fulham 1. Penalty looks like a penalty. Newcastle. Callum Wilson brought down in the box. Ball through from Almiron, a quick break from Newcastle. Wilson
made the most of it there.
Did make the most of it, but look, it's been given. Let's see the VAR check it. Wilson, but great centre forward play. Wilson takes the slightest.
Yeah, you've got your shirt there.
He should be booked.
And Wilson goes down in a heap in the middle of the box. So let's see where we go here. 59, coming up to 60 minutes. VAR are checking it. Oh, let's see what goes on here now.
I think they're going to give it, but I think they're waiting. Their last look was to see whether he was offside.
Oh, what a pass from Almiron.
Whether there is a foul for the penalty. So it's not for the offside. It is checking to see.
No, it's not offside.
Check where
the contact there. It's in the box. It's on the line.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. So we're still waiting on VAR. VAR run this backwards and forwards. So the defender and Wilson, there is a tug on the shirt. Wilson and the defender make contact right on the line of the box at the front. And let's see, waiting on VAR. Oh, they're running back again.
I don't think he's going to give that.
Oh, you're joking me.
No penalty.
Nah, I wouldn't have given that. Sorry, but I wouldn't have.
He's going to look at the screen.
No, hang on, he's on the screen.
He's got to check it.
He is going to the screen, guys, so just bear with us.
Good. We don't have the benefit of commentary, so.
Yeah, it's right on the line.
Going to give a free kick or a penalty.
Yeah, he's looking at it here. This could be a free kick.
It's got to be a penalty. It looks like it's on the line.
Well, it's definitely
Wilson is in the box.
He tried to sub him 2 times.
The defender's foot and Wilson's foot, when they touch, are literally on the line. He's going to go back here now. He is going to book. Is he going to
give him the card as well?
Looking again.
Is he going to book Wilson here?
No, I think he's going to. I think he's looking at a red card to see whether there's a covering defender.
Oh, that's even better.
Okay, bear with us here.
It doesn't look like a red card. Looks like there's a covering
defender. He tried to sub him 2 times. So
on the chat, we've got clear goal scoring opportunity. Some people saying on the line. penalty all day. It is a red card for Anderson. Anderson for Fulham has been sent off with a clear goal scoring opportunity denied. I have to say that is slightly harsh.
I thought there was a covered centre half, Martin.
Yeah, listen, Rich, I would agree with you. I don't think that was a clear, straight red. That's my view on it.
Well, then you can see in the middle of the red.
What's the
He tried to stop him 2 times. So
he's in on goal. He's got a clear goal scoring opportunity. If he's not,
yeah, he's going to take that on the side foot there. So look, it is what it is.
I've just got one comment, Martin. One comment. I just want to point up and say, I love VAR.
So do I.
Come on, Wilson. Wilson's got to score this.
Your house in Galway, it does.
Wilson's got to score this.
I can't believe he sent him off there. Fair enough, a penalty, but a red card.
The red card.
62 and a half.
Happy days.
Newcastle 0, Fulham 1. Callum Wilson puts the ball down. Fulham's goalkeeper bouncing around so far. I'm not even going to say it. I was going to say something. I won't.
Don't.
Here we go. Callum Wilson.
Come on, Wilson.
You bag.
Come on.
I haven't got the clacker from Steve, literally.
Yes. Go on. Get in there, boy. Come on.
Callum Wilson with the equaliser. Newcastle 1, Fulham 1. Slightly undeserved lead. We will take it. Fulham down to 10 men with Anderson sent off for Fulham on a straight red for obstructing and obviously denying a clear goal-scoring opportunity. I'm sure that one will be talked about.
Get Ryan Fraser on right now.
Yep. Yes.
Get him on.
Fucking
shambles of a team. Come on.
Yeah,
Fuck's
absolutely.
sake. Bruce, wake up, man.
64 minutes on. We'll make a substitution. Carney off and Michael Hector on.
Yeah, defender. He's shocking. He's awful.
So Newcastle now have the opportunity, as Pete said there, if Steve Bruce looks at this now, we should be absolutely clamouring to get Ryan Fraser onto that pitch now and run at this defence. All the opportunities in the world. Newcastle 1, Fulham 1. Rich, give us your assessment as well.
Well, hopefully it's going to be the turning point in the game. It's funny, we were looking at the VAR there, and you had the 3 of them breaking. You had Almiron, Wilson either side. Just when we were talking about what changes we would have made, I made a note at half time just as something to like try and shake things up a little bit. And I was debating about going to a 3 centre halves, and I was going to go Hayden, Clark, and Dub after we found out Hayden was coming on. I would then have had Yedlin and Fraser on the wings as wing backs more, so you've got plenty of pace up and down the flanks. And I'd actually have took Shelvey off, put Richie in the middle because Richie's going to be well up for trying to make up for his mistakes. So he'll be wanting to press because he is one of the people who will press. And then fully just going back to that VAR screen, as I mentioned, have Almiron in a number 10 role behind Gale and Wilson. And if you look at the two, you've got lots of pace going forward. And Almiron is an absolutely fantastic number 10. When he sits behind, he likes to control. He does it very, very well for Paraguay. But he doesn't seem to get that role for us. Unfortunately, he's either stuck out on one of the flanks. He's a fantastic number 10. He's a very creative player. He's something that we need. Everyone says, we've got Shelvey, who's that quarterback who can make that creative pass every now and again. Go on, Wilson.
Go on, Wilson.
Like, why? That's a freak. Well played there, Wilson. Well played.
Do you know what? I'd let Almiron take this. The amount of times Almiron scored when he was in MLS, and he does it he takes free kicks for Paraguay. We never ever let him take one, and his quality on his dead balls is absolutely fantastic. But that's why I would bring I would take Shelvey off, bring Fraser on, move Richie in the middle, and put Fraser on the left. Then I would take Dolan off and put Gale up front. So I think we've got plenty of pace to make up for as Dave's just said, if Hector's as bad as he is, he looks quite tall, but he doesn't look as though he's got much pace. So having Wilson and Gale, plenty of pace there, plenty of movement around them, it should cause them a lot of problems. But it looks like Longstaff's going to take this, so I can't do much worse for what Shelvey did.
I would just bring that to Almiron and then play that in. I would have just gone left unless he scores Okay, that's not bad.
Mate,
Al-Waleed, do you want to give us your verdict, mate? What's your view on the penalty there, and where do you think we go from here?
We got lucky because of what happened. I think red card because he's less defender and he tried to stab him. He stabbed him twice or 3 times. He tried to grab his shirt and he kicked his foot. So it's double mistake. That's why I think the red card, because there is insisting on make him fall. I want to see some changes, but I'm afraid we don't want to make excessive or too much changing, because we noticed what happened against Leeds. When we put a lot of changes, we got 3 goals in a matter of seconds. So I think we need to be reasonable. Fraser, of course, he will be my choice, or Dwight Gale, and Joelinton, he must go out.
Oh, great save.
Good save.
Great save from Darlow as Fulham break into the box, cut inside. I think that was Luckman, with the shot.
The pass before that, how has he been allowed to make that pass through 3
exactly.
players? One
thing I would say, which I'm sure the panel will follow up on, but I tell you what, my God, where would we be without Callum Wilson?
Yeah, 100%.
Martin, it's what you pay your money for. Okay,
absolutely.
When you've got players like that are available, and we had it the year before when your fans go mad for Danny Ings, right? Pay the 20-odd million, and it was a loan with a view to buy, so it wasn't even that you had to pay the money there and then. Like, and that's why fans were going so mad for so long. Pay the money because you know that they score goals. Callum Wilson's come available, and we've kind of been forced into it. But actually, it's been one of the best investments we could have made. And this goes back to the question about the likes of Rondon before at 16 million. The guy scored 10 or 12 goals that season, and now you've got 8 goals from Callum Wilson already, and it's not even halfway through the season yet. He's already our top scorer for the last couple of years. And if you don't pay the money, you don't get the quality. It's as simple as that. And you can be selective, but I'm sorry, so the signing of Callum Wilson just justifies even further how shit that Joelinton signing is. And it's not about putting pressure on Joelinton. It's the actual decision behind the deal. Joelinton was paid a handsome amount of money to sign for us, but we also paid 40 million for him with a goal scoring record that never ever reached double figures in any of the seasons that he's played in. How can you justify paying 40 million for that when you've got Callum Wilson that scores goals for fun? It's crazy.
Yeah, no, agreed. Okay, let's go back. Obviously, we're still at 1-1, just coming up to 70 minutes. So we'll drop back to you, Chris. Going back to the ASM question, what do you think is going on with ASM? Do you think it's illness? Do you think him and Bruce have had a bit of a set to? And if you can get him playing in the team, how do we set this front 4 or 5 players up to get the best out of Almiron, Fraser, Wilson, and ASM? Where does Richie fit in that? Where does the midfield fit? So what's your view on the whole ASM thing? What do you think's going on? And what do we do with this 4 or 5 up front to make it work, mate?
Number one, I think ASM signed the long-term deal because he believed that the takeover was imminent, and that he would be dealing with another manager besides Bruce. That's one factor. I think another factor could be a lot of players, after signing a long-term contract, regress and sort of say, "Well, I've done my part to get the contract," and then kind of coast a little bit on the laurels. Number 3, Newcastle is sort of not kind of the ideal club.
Well, Wilson.
Go on. Sorry, Chris.
Go on.
Sorry, I'm a minute behind you guys. So
Newcastle
I see Fulham in their end. So ASM is sort of a fish out of water, kind of in a setup that doesn't really suit him. So I'd say I don't think it's COVID, because people have said he's not self-isolating. So I'd say it's sort of half issues with Bruce, half issues with sort of the club, where the club is not taken over yet by PIF, and sort of you have to factor in the reason why did he end up at Newcastle and not anywhere else? Any club in the world at our level or above could have had him, and we have him. Same reason why we have Dubravka and he's not at PSG or Juventus or something, because there's just something a little bit unrefined or off about the player. Sort of a rough diamond in the rough. So I think it's a number of factors, and it's not just his attitude or he's checked out or he's all about the Instagram or Twitter. I think he is a solid player given the right system, the right manager, the right owner, and all three of those systems are not in his favor right now.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry, can I just ask a question? Just of what we're saying there is the rumors that ASM is out and about and walking around shopping centres or whatever true? Has anyone confirmed that, or does anyone know? No, I saw it on Twitter, but I wasn't myself. I'm just hoping that he's not throwing a strop and that he has got COVID, has a bad or whatever, and it's on the comeback trail. But that's my hope for him, and I don't want to believe that he has had this falling out. And I think because I'd like to think that even if he did have a falling out with Bruce, he'd still come back and try his best for the club, because they seem to be a bit pally there going back a couple of weeks ago. So I don't know.
I think what's weird for me is like he's certainly, since he's been with the club, he is quite a frequent guy that is putting up posts on Twitter and Instagram and different bits and pieces, and he's been particularly silent the last 7 to 10 days. There's been nothing on social media from him at all.
His boots, like a retweet from about his boots.
Yeah. So there is a couple of bits on. Obviously, there has been the Twitter pieces of he's been.
Go on, Amir. Who's coming? Go on, Wilson, break.
Sorry,
we broke the wrong way there. So it has been quite weird that he has been quite invisible on social media. My view with it is I think there is a bit of something there, kind of similar to Chris. I think there is a bit of something there with him and Bruce. I know there was obviously chatter about ASM kind of saying where he should be playing. And I know, obviously, form-wise, he's probably not been in the best, and that Bruce wanted to bench him. So, look, no smoke without fire. Obviously, we've got nothing confirmed, but there certainly seems to be a few rumours. So, game-wise, we're at 75 minutes coming up. Newcastle 1, Fulham 1. Joe Linton has just gone off, Dwight Gale on. So, Bruce is making his couple of changes. Dwight Gale on, so I suppose from a point of positiveness, it's a striker on, and I was going to say striker off. I won't. So Big Joe off. And
I was going to ask the lads with sort of flashy players like Ben Arfa, like in the past. Has there been a sense of if you're not going to play me where I want to be played, don't bother me, don't bother including me in the squad? Sort of like self-selecting out and not saying, it's not just a Bruce saying, well, I don't feel like you're in my first 11, which is ridiculous. But is there a sense of the player sort of dictating, in a standoff against the manager and saying, I want to be in this free role, and the manager's like, I'm not going to play you in the free role, so I'm not going to, it's either that or you don't make the squad.
Yeah, Chris, I think that there has been a bit of a history of that. Ben Arfa will be an example, and then we got rid of him we loaned him out to Hull, and he ended up with Steve Bruce. But and there's been other flair players that have been in that situation as well. Anyone else want to comment on that one?
I think. Sorry, Pete. I think with the flair player is, you do deal with a different attitude maybe to a Sean Longstaff or to a Kieran Clark. You look at somebody like a Kieran Clark, probably collects his wages. He's a model pro. He gets on with the game. You don't hear too much about him. He isn't heavily on social media. You get a flair player like ASM. When he joined the club, he was very much on social media, Instagram posts, pictures of him, while he was injured doing, warm-ups in his house in his socks, with the nice white porcelain tiles of the house in, the north end of Newcastle and stuff like that. So I think they are, I suppose if you look at Ginola and players like that, the more mercurial of the players that have an attitude of, well, I signed for you and you're not playing me. So, listen, screw you kind of thing. But I think if we're honest as a set of lads that watch this game in and out, when ASM re-signed the new contract, his form was absolutely awful. So did he deserve to be in the starting 11? In my view, he didn't. He didn't deserve to be in that 11 at all. I think Richie gives us that bit of passion. He gives us that desire. He's probably not, he's not probably having the best of games today, but I think I can see where Richie gives us that bit more drive and ambition. For me, with with the way that with those situations work themselves through. The thing that has perplexed me over the last while was, obviously I know Fraser had a bit of an injury, but I just think the guy is quality, and I don't get why we're not starting him games when he plays so well for Scotland in the last few games. He came on last week and made a massive difference. Hopefully he comes on now and makes a massive difference. And I think that partnership and that link up with Wilson, is something that we really are crying out for. So I think that there is something there with the ASM. I will be surprised. I put it on Twitter there the other night. I said I would be surprised if we saw him back kind of pre the end of January. I could be completely wrong. But yeah, I think there is something a little bit off there. Pete, what's your view, man?
No, I was gonna add to what we were saying about some of the sort of flair or sort of the high profile players that we've struggled to maintain. You go back to the likes of Lon Robert, for example, in the Bobby Robson days. He was an absolute genius of a player, but he didn't defend. He was like an ASM. He couldn't defend, didn't want to defend, but Bobby Robson got the best out of him and made the structure of the team work. A lot of Newcastle fans don't like him, but I actually thought Craig Bellamy was fantastic for us at the club. Again, one of those sort of flair players, bags of pace, was an absolute menace, would wind the opposition up, was a player that you'd hate to have play against you, but would love to have in your team. And Bobby Robson had to manage all of them, the likes of, Kieran Dyer, for example, you could add into that. So we've had players in the past, but you've had someone like a Bobby Robson that's been able to manage them as best possible and got the best out of them and had success, a relative amount of success with them. But then you get Graham Souness that comes in and can't manage them and doesn't know what to do and just gets rid of the lot. And then that's why you saw the decline in the team and in our capabilities because of that. But look, I mean, with ASM, he needs support, he needs coaching, he needs the license to be able to go and do what he does best. Like we've talked about with the Ginolas and the Roberts and the Ben Arthurs, yes, they are frustrating to manage because they're not defensively minded and they don't always fit in perfectly to a system that's played. But if you've got a manager that's tactically able, they will find a way. And they will find a way to get the best out of you. There's no reason, there's no excuses why you put him in a better team and he starts performing, because those better teams have better managers, and those better managers will find a way of it working. And that's the problem. And it's the stature of and the quality of the manager which is the problem. This is why ASM is not working at the moment. This is why he's had his sort of one season and he's now sort of in limbo. It's difficult for ASM. He had such a good first season, but as always with every player, teams get used to the way you play it and will start putting tactics on to stop you playing because they know how important you are to a team.
You get found out.
Of course you get found out. So what do you need to do? You need to change and adapt the way in which you play. But in order for that to happen, you need a manager to be able to make that happen and give you that advice and build a structure of a team in order to enable you to produce your best football, to get past those tactics. And we haven't got that. And that's the biggest problem right now, is that we haven't got a manager that's willing to support, that is willing to find a way of getting his best players into a team to be successful. It's as simple as that.
Just get rid of it.
Yeah. Oh dear. I think
Jamie
you're
wants
right
to get in there, I think, as well, lads. Sorry,
I think
Martin.
one of those things with the players, Pete, to take your point is, I watched a thing there, and don't necessarily like to harp back to Rafa, but I watched a thing there. An interview with Jamie Carragher on one of the match nights, the Monday match nights. And, Rafa talked about his first 17 months about finding out that balance, finding out that, if he played Dummett, who did he need to play in front of him? If he played a Richie, how did he need to balance the defence with Lascelles in that centre-back pairing? Did he play Richie left or right? What worked? And I think one of the things that Bruce obviously does not do is work out, where is that balance? Where do those players work with each other? And what is the right formation for an ASM? And where does ASM fit in certain games? So I think you're absolutely right in, we struggle to find that fit. So Jamie, go on. You want to add to this, mate? Go on.
Yeah, it was. Do you know what it is, Martin? I was just going to come on to exactly what you were saying. It's finding, like, if you go out and spend the money on the Almirons, the ASMs, the Frasers, like, you've got to put a team on the pitch that accommodates their game. If you're going to pay big money for creative players, you can't then just say, oh, do you know what? You don't work hard enough for me. You're out the team. These are the players that win games consistently for teams. And the likes of Fraser, Almiron, more Maximum and Almiron, they're very good football players. I know they're playing in a not very good setup at the moment under Bruce, but they're very creative players, and you've got to put the right team around them to allow them to play their games. They're going to be inconsistent. That's the style of player they are. They don't track back. They're a bit frustrating when you're 1-0 down away at Crystal Palace or something. I get that, but they've still got the ability to change games. And what you just said there with Rafa, you've got to get the balance right of knowing what player you need in what position, which allows them to then use their attributes to incorporate their style on the game. Because just going back to St. Maximum, he's by far the most talented player in this team, but without a shadow of a doubt. And I don't watch him as much as you guys do, and I'm sure you are the same opinion. Almiron was one of the best assist makers in the MLS before he signed for Newcastle. And I'm not sitting here for a second saying the Premier League's the same level as the MLS. Of course it isn't. But he's still got the ability to be able to play them little passes in behind. And how Bruce can't see his best. This is why I keep going back to this double pivot that me and Pete was speaking about earlier. If you've got that solid base of that back four and them two pivot players, like a Hendrick or a Hayden or a Longstaff in there, if you've got Almiron just behind Wilson, who's got the legs to beat players, he done it tonight. Look at the pass before the penalty. Little sly ball in behind the defenders for Wilson. Wilson's game is a pressing forward, but he can only play that role if he's got a player behind him that's able to give him them little balls in between the backs and the wing backs. Exactly. Yeah. It's like playing to the strengths. Wilson's got pace to burn. So has Fraser and so has Maximum. So I don't understand why he can't set up a system where he incorporates Wilson, Fraser, Almiron and Maximum as a front four. In whatever order he needs to play it in to suit the team, that's fine. And you also have to play to the opponent. Other teams ain't going to play. You're going to play a low block against a West Brom where you might get 3 or 4 chances. But you've got to take them chances. When you go away at the Etihad or away at Anfield, you might only get 1 or 2 chances. And you've got to have the right players in the right position to create them chances for the likes of Wilson. Wilson is an absolute bagsman in the Premier League. Like, I would have him at my club. He scores goals. Like Pete said
That
earlier,
good.
he's a goal scorer. Yeah, he is that way. He's a goal scorer, isn't
Club.
he? He's a goal scorer. And to be honest, put him in the 6-yard box in front of goal instead of Tony Marshall, I'll tell you that. But Wilson doesn't need a lot of chances to score goals, but he does not get the service at all. And whatever Bruce needs to do with his little magic wand over Christmas, he needs to start working a system that's going to fit these creative players in, because watching this every week must be so difficult for you, because it ain't even like you're a squad that don't have the quality of player in there to influence these games. So, and as I said, when Fulham had 11 men, they looked the better team, and you're not doing so much with 10 men on the field to look the better team. In my opinion, it's still quite a close, cagey game, and it's like you just need to win this game. You know,
it's
like, where's the urgency?
Yeah, we're looking for the snatch and grab here as we come towards the last couple of minutes.
87 minutes gone, still 1-1. Almiron in the box on the right-hand side, looking to play it off.
Sorry for calling you Phil, by the way, Pete. I do another channel with a Phil on there, so I do apologise. A bit embarrassed.
Called many a name. Don't worry about that.
I'm sorry about that, Pete.
Used to it.
And a throw to Newcastle on the right-hand side, although we're holding here as a Fulham plate down on the ground.
Lads, just hold on from what Pete and Jamie were saying. I had a conversation at the start of the season with Liam Kennedy, and I don't know if it's just what we would say is it's not rocket science, but from day one, from when we got Fraser in with Wilson, it has been a setup for us to have Wilson playing up top, Almiron behind him, and Miggy and Fraser either side. Mm-hmm. I have said that from when both of them joined. As Jamie was pointing out about the double pivot, you have Hayden as one of the pivot, and then you have another with him. You'd probably, because of the legs we need, you'd probably want a Matty Longstaff in there, actually, because of the amount of legs that NG actually has. Yeah. And that's the perfect sort of system that goes in. The only thing that doesn't probably go in with the system defensively is Lewis is a bit more of an attacking fullback. I think if you go back to last season when we had Williams and ASM had an absolutely amazing partnership down that left-hand side last season. They were the understanding that they had between them as well were on the same wavelength. It's that similar sort of wavelength that Fraser and Wilson have coming from Bournemouth. But it's, there's a few little rumblings that I've got on from last year from that end of the season. ASM had an absolutely fantastic season last year. He played him on the left, and he used to, he would go past the full back, past the man, he would create something out of nothing. And he started this season a similar way as well. And then there's a few little things that came in all at a similar sort of time, which seemed to where everything started to go wrong a little bit. There was a little bit came out that he wasn't happy about how much he was earning compared to some of the other lads, what they were earning for what he was doing for the team. And then you've got these higher earners who are earning so much, but don't do too much for the team. And then obviously, his friend comes over from Australia after he's sick of building houses, and you start to think, has he been a bit of a bad influence on him as well? But then you also think, well, he signed his new contract, and you start, because of everything that's been going on, and obviously the club's not saying anything, and we all think there's a fallout there. And I think we all agree he probably signed that long-term contract because he believed the take was going to go ahead and he wants to be part of it. You've seen all his social media posts about how long he's going to be here for. He's seen the posts where he's been down to the food bank in Newcastle. He did the post about the Newcastle United Foundation, about the big hub they're going to be building in Newcastle, and said he looks forward to actually seeing it a bit. So he does actually want to be here, but I believe he's had a falling out with Bruce because he's not playing him where he wants to. But I think, put him on the left wing, he was absolutely ideal. Put him in that free role, I don't think he's got that ability in that free role. So I think what's happened is when they've had the fallout, he signed the new contract, and I'm fingers crossed, hope this isn't the case, that a big release clause has been put in that contract and that he might be on the way in January.
It's possible. It is one of the things we spoke about a couple of weeks back about the, maybe. Who was that? Was that you, Daz Shocks? Swearing.
Yeah, it was. Wilson nearly connected. We're into the last 3.5 minutes here, lads.
Yeah, 3.5 minutes, 5 minutes injury time. We're at 91-29. So last couple of minutes to try and do something here. Will it be one of Steve Wraith's smash and grabs, as he likes to call them? 1-1 at the moment. Fulham down to 10, as we said earlier on. Fulham with the opener, and then Newcastle with a penalty converted by Callum Wilson. And there's a ball that hits Fraser on the back of the head. Fulham down to 10 with a straight red for obviously obstruction on Callum Wilson and denying a goal scoring opportunity. Ball in here. Nowhere. 92.5 minutes, so we'll keep going. So one of the things, obviously, myself and Daz spent a little bit of time. We said we'd throw a few questions up. So I suppose to take attention slightly away from team matters, I'll throw this one out there, which is obviously we got the news from the Premier League and we got a bit of information to say that they've signed a new deal with beIN Sports, and myself and Al Walid spoke about this last night with El on the LW Newcastle show. So I suppose what's the panel's view on the news from beIN, and where do we think we are with the takeover? I suppose if we can get round the panel and get a view. My view, for what it's worth, is I don't think the news was negative. I think you can take it as a positive, in that there's probably still traction going on behind the scenes. Myself and Al Walid spoke last night. Obviously, relations in the MENA region between Saudi and Qatar seem to be defrosting, and I'm sure my right honourable colleague, Mr. Chris, in the bottom corner there, will keep me right on all things geopolitical. But there seems to be a defrosting of tensions in the Gulf. So I will take the deal signing with beIN as a positive rather than a negative. So what we'll do, we'll go around the panel, just get your view on what you think about that deal and where you think the takeover is as we come into the last couple of minutes. So Chris, do you want to kick us off, mate? Where do you think things are at?
Sure. I think that we are at an opportunity. With the January transfer window also comes a January transfer window in the U.S. because we've got the Trump administration outgoing and the Biden administration incoming. Nothing against Al Walid, but the Trump administration was very pro-Saudi. Didn't want anything to do with Qatar, or even though Qatar is very key strategic partner for both the UK and the US, because
that looked like a handball.
Major military base, and is the home of the US Navy's Sixth Fleet. So it's in the US and UK interest to keep both Saudi and Qatar on side. So there is interest there in defrosting tensions and sort of moving past this years-old dispute. And I think the other key partner there, which is also sort of a regional interest to both us and Newcastle, is the UAE. So the Emirates do play a part. They have been on even sort of more anti-Qatar than the Saudis. So if all three of those can reconcile, that's only good for the takeover. I would say that with the extension of the beIN Sport deal, there's sort of the writing on the wall for Saudi is that, there is going to be no legal way for Saudis to watch any sport. So they might as well make a truce with Qatar in terms of at least putting beIN back on the air. So I'd say it's not necessarily bad news that Saudis haven't done their own deal. They didn't even bid. So they're not.
Why did you not put it in the book?
Cut out. They can't bid. So I'd leave it to the other lads, but I'd say it's not bad news. It could be encouraging news, but I think the most important January news is that Biden takes over for Trump, and that sort of resets this whole power balance that Trump was sort of leaning on one side.
Yeah, it's all over.
And so it's a new opportunity for the takeover and for improve
Okay,
relations
mate.
between Saudis and Qatar.
Okay, man. So we'll hold that just for a second. So game over, 95 and a half minutes gone. Newcastle 1, Fulham 1, as I predicted. So
Mystic Martin.
yeah, Stu Penman and your 3-1, you can jog on, lad. 1-1. Look, we'll obviously sum up the game as the players trudge off there. Obviously, I've got Sky on there. Not a great result. Not what we needed. I think we needed to take 3 points. But look, we'll go around. Let's go around the panel now and get a follow up on the game, and then we'll have a couple more questions until we get cut off. Oh, hang on, hold on. Baldy Lass is back. Have to wait on. Yeah.
No, you crack on, Martin. I'm just a guest tonight, mate. I'm just a guest. You crack on, lads.
All right. Somebody, would you move yourself to logo corner then, please? Yes, get in there. Okay, so look, 1-1. Let's go around. Rich, we'll start with you. Not a great result. I think we needed to take the 3, but I did predict 1-1. And some tough games coming up. Cup game and then Manchester City and followed up by Liverpool. So what's your take on it, mate?
Yeah, we definitely did 3 points. I'm a little bit disappointed that we especially didn't take the advantage of when we went a man up after when we got the penalty. We didn't seem to push on as much as we probably should have. I think if the first half was appalling, to be at home against a championship team last year and have 33% possession in the first half was just there's words can't describe it, to be honest. The second half was a lot more promising. We had the hold of the ball a lot more. We tried to dominate and force us. And we got lucky with that break where, Almiron, lovely slide through ball for Wilson, and it was a foul. Was the red card harsh? Yes, it was a goal scored up between, but we would discuss whether it was a covering centre half or not. But, you take what you get, and it was given a red card. It's just a shame we didn't kick on from there and, put them under a bit more pressure. I think, Gale should have probably come on straight away, not 5-10 minutes later. But disappointed. A point against Fulham at home. No, it's not acceptable in my opinion. I think we needed the 3 points, especially with some of the what you would class as free hits coming up over the festive period.
Yeah.
Any points we get off them are a bonus. But the way we played, Liverpool will tear us apart next week after the way they played against Palace today. But 3 points was a must today. Unfortunately, we fell short again.
Yeah. Okay. Al Walid, do you want to give us a follow-up, mate? What's your view?
I said before the game, Wilson will save us, and actually, he save us. He save us if you consider draw is. This is still disorganized team. He tried to correct, and usually he tried to correct the way of play in second half, but I don't know why Almiron and Richie, they are opposite side. As I said earlier, Almiron on the left, he couldn't do crosses, and he is not shooting either. Same as Richie, no crosses, and he not shooting either. So what's the point of switching the two sides? Sean Staff did fine. And no observation on him. Shelby, as we said, he play in the deep line playmaking, but I think he exposed, and he can't do much choices, just long ball. He can't take he can't lead the counter attack. Best counter attack we see, it was by Almiron. No actual playmaking. We saw the Gael come inside, but no player do some any crosses or playmaking or making opportunities. I think it's like we are wasting most of the time of the game with no actual serious attack.
Okay. Pete, come on, brother, lay it down. You're not one to hold back. Give it both barrels, my friend.
Pete's happy, I'd say.
Right.
Yeah.
First and foremost, let's just let's just make this really, really clear. Mitrovic is shit. Okay. Let's just make it absolutely clear, because I'm sick of this comparison about Mitrovic and any other striker we've got at the club. He was dog shit tonight, right? He was awful, and he was in good company as well, starting their team week in, week out. So I just wanted to make that absolutely crystal clear from the beginning. Regarding the performance and the result, look, me and you, Martin, both said it was going to be 1-1. I just, looking at that starting lineup, it just completely shattered all my confidence of us getting anything going into the game. We were incredibly lucky that we obviously got the penalty, because we looked like we cannot create anything in play whatsoever in terms of clear-cut chances. And even with them being with 10 men, we struggled to create chances even then. Look, we wanted 20 points by this point. We've got 18. Look, depending on all the results around us and certainly below us, it might not be the worst thing in the world, but we know we've got 3 games where we're likely to get 0 points from in this Christmas period. And that's, for me, is a big, big worry. Look, I have to say, I've got to be honest. I know a couple of you guys were talking about maybe subbing them off at half time. We criticised them before the game. I actually thought Yedlin and Dummett played well today. I thought they were good at fullbacks. I thought they kept Lookman and Bobby Reed quiet, particularly in the second half, even before the red card. I thought they were good and solid today. Considering they've not played 90 minutes for God knows how long, you know what? Fair play to them. They came in and they did a job. Equally, I actually thought Sean Longstaff had a very good game today. In midfield, he way outperformed John Joe Shelby in that midfield.
I would agree.
Made crucial interventions and some tackles at crucial times in the first and second half. He recycled the ball better. I hope Statman keeps on today in the chat. I don't know if he'll be able to find out the his pass completion rate, but I can tell you it would be significantly higher than it was on Wednesday night. So you know what? Credit where credit's due. We've hammered him. He's come back with a performance today, and that's exactly what we want as a fan base. We want those players to say, right, let's put it right. And I think he's done that today. John Joe Shelby, on the other hand, was again very, very shocking. And for a guy of his ability and his wage packet, and we keep talking about it, we talked about it during the game, when they went down to 10 men, he was probably the one player in our team that had the ball more than anybody in the team, and he did absolutely nothing with it. And that's the problem that we have. A 29-year-old John Joe Shelby, we want that guy to come on with 10 men in the opposition and really grab the game by the scruff of the neck and try and make something happen. And he doesn't do it. And it's so goddamn frustrating. It's so frustrating to have a player like that has a ball and a capability, and he just doesn't produce it. So I was so disappointed with him. Callum Wilson's Callum Wilson. As Jamie rightly and correctly said, he's a bagsman. The guy scores goals. He creates havoc. And I just love watching him play. He's not always in the game, but his movement and his running is, the things that we don't see, I see it because he's a fantastic player. Almiron was good today. I was impressed with him, particularly in the second half. He made some good runs. But ultimately, we just haven't got the creativity. We haven't got enough creativity in this team to create 3 or 4 good, clean-cut chances. And if we'd have had that and done that and been more sort of proactive at 10 men, with them being at 10 men, we could have quite easily won the game. The fact that they took their striker off and put an attacking midfielder on as a striker says to you that they're going to sit. That they're going to sit and just try and hold out for the point. At that point, attack the fuckers. Try and get the 3 points. We've got nothing to lose. So, yeah, disappointed that we didn't make the most of it. But look, it was what I expected it to be in terms of a point. And look, we just got to take it and move on.
Yeah. Okay. Jamie, as a neutral, again, it's like being on Channel 4. I must pre-warn you, don't say United because you'll be turfed off. Baldy last he's now got control of the panel again. He will kick you out if you say United any more than the
Yeah, sorry about that one earlier, Steve.
Right, Jamie, give us someone up as a neutral, mate.
I just think just when our lead was speaking there, it just took me back a little minute to understand how low the fan base is at the moment, because I'm just going back to quote you, that our lead, when you said I said that Wilson would rescue us, and I'm just a bit like, you're playing Fulham at St James's Park, you know. And I suppose that's the deflation in the fan base at the moment. But I just wanted to get that out there because I was a bit like, whoa, that was deep, that, you know. But I suppose that's the confidence levels you've got of Bruce at the moment in charge, that you're hoping you're going to get a point at Fulham. I seen a comment like, I'm glad we got a point. And I'm like, you're playing Fulham at St James's Park? Like, is it just me that thinks that's crazy? Like, that you're happy with a point? I know it's probably tongue in cheek, but anyway, back to the game.
Yeah.
I thought the setup was wrong, but obviously I've touched on that briefly in the show. I think the personnel wouldn't have been the team that I would have picked. I would have went with a much more attacking lineup because, as I said again, James's Park, you just want to entertain, play your attacking players. But I've touched on that briefly mid-show, so I don't really want to go into it. But I know I've said it about 4 or 5 times tonight, but I agree with Pete. Like, thought Wilson was a nuisance. He does what he does best. He obviously bailes out. You can say United referring to Newcastle. But I enjoy watching him as well, Pete. I think he's a fantastic player. But for me, when you get that penalty and they go down to 10 men, in my head, I'm sitting here, and bear in mind that coach under 11s, I'm like, right, he's got to react here. He's got to change something and get more creative players on the pitch with a game plan of playing a high press on them and putting a lot of pressure on them, because you just have to win this game. They're down to 10 men when you're at home. So you just need to take the initiative as a team to think, right, this is a great chance here. We've struggled a little bit today. Now we've got a great opportunity. My main man's just bagged. Now we need to press forward. Go to a flat back 4 if you need to. Put someone else in that midfield, like Pete said earlier. Sorry, I keep quoting you, Pete, but I agree with everything you've pretty much said today. Drop Hayden into that midfield. Let Longstaff do what he does. Let Shelvey be Shelvey and do whatever he wants to do, because he was awful today. I think I would have given him about a 2 out of 10. But with that base of Hayden in that midfield, it gives you a great platform with a solid back 4, 3 in midfield, or 2 in midfield, should we say, because of Shelvey's performance. Get Longstaff on the ball and get the creative players, your Almirons, your Frasers, your Wilsons, pressing them up the pitch. They've got 10 men. And I just didn't see that today. And obviously, I know I obviously don't, I come on the show here and there. You guys are on here every week, but I listen to every single show you do. And you say it every week that you just want more of a reaction out of Bruce. I didn't see that today. It was like, right, we're back in the game here. I'll just keep it as it is at the moment, and we'll catch them again, and we'll catch them cold. And it's just, there's absolutely no reaction from the manager. And if he's not leading from the front, what does that say to the players? So for me today, really disappointed. And as I say, I feel for you because it's your team. I can watch as a neutral. It doesn't really matter to me the result. Of course, you know that I want Newcastle to win, because you know me off camera as well, and I like to see you guys do well. But for me, very, very frustrating today. So I can imagine for you guys, it must be frustrating that your manager can't see things that are fans watching on the telly. I just don't understand that, but really disappointing. And I'm going to shut up now because I'll let someone else talk. But yeah.
Okay, mate. Rich, give us your lowdown, pal.
I think we did, Rich, did we?
Yeah, you did, me.
Yeah.
Who do we miss? Chris. Well,
yeah.
Sorry, Chris. Go on, mate.
All right. Well, I always want to see Fraser in there. They're a different team with Fraser and Wilson playing together. It'd be interesting if we could get a third Bournemouth player in the January transfer window with Josh King. But yeah, it was a strange setup. I know that Bruce is trying to economize his lineup with playing a bunch of matches in the festive period, so we're not going to see this A1 lineup in every match. Has to rest some players. And by the way, Steve, thank you for giving me the A1 slot for about 1 minute there before I got back into the logo.
Oh, baby.
It was that was deliberate, mate.
No, nobody put baby in the corner.
Just a taste of the throne before I got back into the loo.
Home.
I'm a bit concerned, Chris, because working with Martin and Daz seems to have driven you to drink.
Yeah, you know, I'm well taken care of by my hosts. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, I have a question, Chris. What did Harriet make of the match? Is she happy with the result?
My only comment was that my hosts were disappointed in the slating of Shelby. They felt sorry for Shelby, but you know, that's
there's no need for that whatsoever.
Yeah.
They watched him.
I'll have to show him some game tape. All right.
Yeah, just show last week's.
Yeah, I'm well situated with beer and everything down here.
Cool. Cheers, Chris. We've one more guest before we give our comments, Martin. Steve, what did you think of the match? Of what you saw of it?
You know what? I'm absolutely delighted to say that I'm going to have to tune into Match of the Day and watch the highlights, lads, because literally the guest who we were supposed to be interviewing tonight turned up late. So unfortunately, things were delayed, and my time was spent up adding people to the broadcast if they got locked out and checking on your comments. I managed to keep up with the game on Sky's app. And I thought, well, I'm just going to keep it for Match of the Day, you know. But I predicted 2-2. It finished 1-1, so a draw was the result that I predicted. I wasn't right with the amount of goals that went in. But judging by what you're saying, lads, it just seems like the same old. I'm really concerned about this Alan Saint-Maximin thing. It's blown up a lot on social media today and last night. People saying, well, he's got COVID, Steve. It's obvious where he is. Well, it's not clear and obvious that he's got COVID, I'm afraid, at all. He's completely disappeared off social media. For me, there is no smoke without fire. And from my perspective, I do think there's something going on at that football club. There's certain players aren't even getting looked at now, as far as being put into the team's concerned. And I am concerned, but there's no smoke without fire. The people I've heard some of this unrest from are genuine. I've also seen a bit of criticism for a change about the takeover. I don't care what anybody says about the takeover. I'm still 100% positive about it. I listened to Chris's points he made very eloquently there about the whole BN Sports deal. And for me, I think it's just another step in the right direction. And I do genuinely feel it'll go through. And I think that those people who criticise a forthcoming takeover need to be very careful who they criticise, because those people who are, involved in said takeover may be watching. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, I think I'd back that up. I've seen a few things last night. Look, people we've seen before making comments, and on our lead show last night, I kind of leapt to the defence of Liam and your good self, a good bit about comments and stuff, and even this evening when we were, I was watching some of the comments on you. What's that say? Oh wait.
Not Martin. Oh no.
I've seen some. I've been watching that many bits on my phone. My phone has died. I've done a Steve Red. My phone is dead. I've been watching comments and people texting us and going, "Is that you on YouTube?" And I was like, "Yeah, it is me." But yeah, look, I've seen comments, and even tonight on some of the comments that came up during the show, we had a couple of trolls on there, and it does certainly. I get it from Steve's perspective of running these shows every night during the week. It's kind of hard to keep your mouth shut sometimes and not get involved and embroiled in it with what goes on. But look, I agree. I said last night on our lead show with him and El, I think the takeover will go through. And I think we just got to remain patient. I think people like Liam, Steve, look, we do know we have got contact with people who are very, very close to this deal. So let it run its course. We'll have a good Christmas, and what comes out the other side, we will do. So yeah, look, it is what it is, and let's move on. So I think.
Can I quickly say?
Go on, Ed.
Sorry, I just want to quickly say, just on Toko, before you kind of move on. Obviously, like, I'm not in the know. I don't really know the ins and outs and whatever. I follow it on Twitter and through articles like everybody else. But the one thing that I've tracked it all the way since sort of April, all the way through this process. And the one thing that has changed recently for me is not necessarily the likes of Steve or the likes of Liam and the ones that have always had that confidence or air of confidence about the deal, but it's the ones that were adamant that it wasn't going through and were adamant that this wasn't going to happen have just recently started to relax their stance on it, and they're starting to talk a lot more positive, or certainly just, you know, add the points in that actually, you know, it could go through, or this is how it could go through. And they're talking in a more positive way about it. And that, for me, tells me a lot, because obviously they have their sources as well as other people have sources, you know, with regards to the deal. So clearly they must be getting told something for them to have their stance of not being adamant that, no, this is not going through. There is no way, blah, 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 blah. Everybody move on. It's not happening, blah, blah, blah. To now, oh, it could happen this way. Or, and actually, this could be a positive for the deal. And in some cases, talking like, you know, it's a matter of time. And look, nobody knows the date or the time or when it's going to happen. But the one thing I'll say is that it's looking like, you know, it is going to happen at some point. It's just when the breakthrough actually happens in itself. And that's what I'm starting to see from particularly those people that weren't very positive on it. And I'll just kind of leave it as that.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cheers, Pete.
Okay.
Maybe we should give our comments on the match as well, Martin. For myself, I don't think the performance was acceptable to us as fans, or for our one of our favorite sponsors, Q-Tech, on the night. Bruce really rode his luck again. More luck for Bruce. Cheers, Steve. And we got a penalty. He scored the goal. We got a man sent off for Fulham. And we still didn't up our pace. We were very lethargic tonight, I thought. We're playing Fulham, who are going to get relegated this season, I would imagine. Sorry, any Fulham fans that are watching, but that's the way I would see it myself. And we're going into the cup game next week. God, we'll probably get knocked out of that as well. We're not playing to any of our ability, and then we have the 3 games that are pretty much a write-off or a free hit. But we're expecting a Christmas miracle from any of those games, but with Man City, Liverpool, and Leicester. But yeah, just turn up. We're playing Fulham. Like, we've got 18 points now, but and Bruce, he's failed my challenge. I set him for £9 out of 12 out of these games. He's got 7. So he's going to get abuse for the rest of the season from us. I was prepared to let it go. That if he passed the chance, prepared to give up and let him run for the season. But now the abuse is coming, Bruce.
Yeah, Daz's pessimism has completely disappeared, which has thrown me totally. So my comment. First of all, I'd love to give a shout out to John Justice Allen, one of the best T-shirt makers I know, and Q-Tech business. Some absolutely spot-on snooker pool cues, probably some of the best around. But I've heard his T-shirts are better. You know what I would love to see, John Justice Allen, is you know, as I said to you earlier on the show, Q-Tech, I will keep getting this in. I'm looking for that T-shirt that says, "We're not here to take part, we're here to take over." Daz Shocks, Mighty Mags, we are the one. And also, I would love to give a big shout out to newworkwear.com, one of our most valuable sponsors, along with Q-Tech, for the show tonight. I can't get my head into that, and I'm sure Daz won't try it. The Baldy Lass is going up. Look, we'll keep going. Q-Tech, fine purveyors of T-shirts. I'm wearing one there tonight. It doesn't say the right thing on the back. But yeah, look, comments. It was Bruce. I predicted 1-1. Shelby was piss poor as usual. Obviously, we do mugs as well. If you're looking for Christmas gifts, Daz is there. My Deck counterpart, Daz, there is showing you our fine selection of mugs. We also do calendars for the food bank. All proceeds go to the food bank. If you want to check out Steve Wraith, oh, look at that, man. I tell you, we're like professionals. Who'd have thought we were amateurs? So we do the calendars. We've got some great cracking T-shirts on there. We've got Super Mac cups. We've got Super Mac T-shirts. Oh, wait, Steve, keep up, man. That's it. Fair play. So we've got those all available at newcastlelegends.com. If you get your orders in, we'll get them out to you. We've got loads going on in the new year. And listen, if you're watching podcasts, what the Q-Tech do? Man, are you guys not listening? Q-Tech, upside down now. Q-Tech, purveyors of fine pool and snooker cues, and some excellent one-off T-shirts for the shows that we run during the week. The Amigos.
Hey! It worked.
Yeah, big time. That's it, right? I'm off. Right, Q-Tech's gone. Who's sponsoring the pod next month? No, look, listen, all joking aside, the match was what it was. I know we'll probably finish up very shortly, so
yeah.
I would just like to give my heartfelt thanks to the guys that came on tonight who really helped me and Dazzler get through it. Great questions. It was, in my...
He's got to mute.
No, I didn't mute myself. There was a good flow to it. We had a bit of fun, and I have really enjoyed it. Fair play to Daz, my partner in crime. But above all, I suppose, thanks to all those who watched us. Give it a watch, give it a like, subscribe to Steve's channel, watch what we do. But also to the man in the left-hand corner there, who's been busy down in London trying to make a living. Steve, thanks very much, brother. Thanks for trusting in us to do the business for you while you're busy in London.
Lads, can I just say well done, and listen, big thank you to Daz and Martin in particular, because it's not easy taking over something when you basically been doing this for a few months and suddenly to be asked to do it. But I had complete faith in you. To be honest, I've got faith in all the lads and lasses who do the show. But to be honest, with a match day live, the lads are the ones who regularly jump on. Kendall's been on a few times, but it's the lads who do it. So you were the right people to do it. You've done an absolutely superb job. Honestly, big round of applause, I think, from the rest of the panel for Martin and Daz. Well done, lads. Absolutely superb.
Cheers, Steve. And I just want to get in as well to say thanks to everyone as well. I second everything Martin said. Thanks to all the lads that are on his screen now, and the lads that popped in, and the guys in our WhatsApp group who gives us ideas and things like that as well. And you, Steve, thanks for the opportunity on this show and on previous shows we've done, and to Q-Tech, of course, Martin. Yes, I picked up the hint. Yeah. My last thing I'm going to say is Martin and myself now are off to find a super agent. If Sean Longstaff can get a super agent, so can we. So that's the last thing I'm going to say.
I'm looking for a 6-year deal. I'm 50. I'm looking for a retirement gig, lads.
I do want to say over the next few days and weeks, obviously things are going to be slightly different. Apologies to those of you who are in London. I really feel for people. I'm down here at the minute going into Tier 4. What an absolute nightmare. We will still be constantly putting out our stuff on here. We've done loads of pre-records, done some fantastic shows and pre-recorded some shows. I'm going to do some more with the rest of the lads and lasses who haven't done their dream teams yet. So that we've got a backlog of stuff because we do need some time off over Christmas. I'm pleased to say though, tomorrow is the debut of the much awaited Think Before You Tweet documentary. A big thank you to Frank Turner, who has finally given us permission to be able to put that out using his track at the start of the programme. It's a 2-hour documentary. I'm sure those trolls who are sitting at home with their toilet roll waiting to enjoy this documentary will not have to worry too much about it. It's forthcoming. It's coming now. You'll be able to watch it tomorrow. I hope you massively enjoy it and enjoy your 5 minutes of fame. And that is tomorrow night at 6 o'clock. Monday night, as usual, we will be going into ladies' night, so it will be a live show on Monday night. I will hopefully be joined by most of the girls, which will be great just to bring in the festive season. Tuesday night, hopefully again a live show with Liam Kennedy, and then we're coming into the Christmas period, so we will be looking at doing a Christmas Eve special with as many guests as we can get on. So those who are available, we're just going to confirm the time with Mitch, because he's obviously in a slight disadvantage with everyone else being in a different country. But we are going to do a Christmas special. The 3 amigos and friends will be obviously live on the day, and we'll be doing our final live broadcast before we all have a well-deserved Christmas break. But we have done some absolutely classic programmes, some to look forward to. The Road to Wembley 1976 with Super Super Mac and Gibbo looking back at the League Cup run in 76 when we got to the Cup final. We're also done another special with Malcolm, looking back at Malcolm's England years where he scored 5 goals against Cyprus in a 5-0 win. Still the only man to score 5 goals in an England shirt in one game. So plenty to look forward to, plenty shows pre-recorded, a couple of live specials which I did as events years ago. We've got an evening with John Fury lined up, which has never been seen, which I did earlier this year when we weren't locked down, so that's coming on, and 1 or 2 other surprises on the channel. But listen lads, been absolutely fantastic. I hope some of you can join us on Christmas Eve. We do have a little surprise up our sleeves, as most of you know, which we have recorded as well, which will be going live on Christmas Eve, so I'm looking forward to that to debut it. So hope you can all join us with a drink in hand to see in the Christmas spirit. We're just about finished now, lads. 6 minutes and you can go and watch it all again on Match of the Day.
No.
Lads, you've done a great job. Take care. See you hopefully on Christmas Eve. Take care. God bless. Good
Cheers,
night.
lads. Take care.
All the best.
Head back with your critics attack. It feels like I've been talking to myself again. But it's the only...
And don't forget, all the way through December, we are running this campaign. Think before you tweet. Catch a documentary, Sunday, 6 o'clock.